Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Open with that.
And as always, we have with us Godless Sewing.
How's it going? How's it going?
And a special guest tonight, BrainBug.
Hey, good to see everybody.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Okay.
Great. Today was it was a long day for me, but I'm glad that I got to catch the stream. I got my hockey sports balls going on right now.
Hockey sports ball.
Wait. Is hockey actually sports ball as there's no ball involved?
No, but when I got online, sports ball is one of those it's one of those sayings that I adopted because I heard it all the time. It just makes me laugh when people say that.
Well, I say that because half the time I can't tell you which game it is the team plays. That is how oblivious I am to professional sports.
I'll tell you, in the LA area, our sports teams are really kind to the LGBTQIA plus community, and like to a surprising amount. So that got me back into like the Kings. I'm not so much a Laker fan, but the Dodgers, man, they go all out for LGBTQIA plus community. So much respect, at least around here.
Yeah. Do you know what sport the St. Louis Blues play? Purple?
Nope, couldn't tell you.
Oh, that's funny. I was just watching it just like today.
It's hockey, yeah. So I think that since that shows that they could be sports ball, because sports ball is ambiguous professional sports, right? I mean, when you say it, or I guess sports ball could be college sports too. But I wouldn't consider like bowling sports ball.
Really? I love bowling.
Me too. I like to go out and have a few beers and bowl.
I've actually gone to Reno, Nevada, to the arena where they filmed Kingpin.
Yeah,
it's a real place, and it's an actual stadium built around bowling lanes. It's actually really epic. I don't know if I'll be around large crowds in the future, but I will go. I'll sit in the nosebleeds when I go back. But you don't consider bowling a sport?
Well, I consider it a sport, but it's
not a spectator sport. It's a sport.
It's like darts, though. You can.
Oh, okay.
You can be average person. You have to.
That's why I got into like.
It's a whole different category for games people actually play and games people just watch.
Well, that's what
and that's why I've never had any interest in professional sports, because I've never seen the point in watching someone else exercise.
I agree, and I'll tell you, like, when I bought a surfboard when I was younger, it kind of like it made me appreciate one person sports.
Watching someone surf doing really good is amazing. Watching them just stand that wave for like 200 yards or so. It's just riding it all the way. It's amazing.
And growing up around pools, like just swimming in general works every piece. It works every muscle in your body. So you have to. Matter of fact, like I'm trying to get up to hockey shape right now, and I'm hitting the pool.
Are you playing hockey?
Well, I play in an old man league, but it's been 2 years.
Yeah. What position do you play?
Right winger, like Drew Doughty. Right wing.
Okay. I should check in who we got in the side chat here. I know Stool was waiting there before we started.
I see Stool, yeah.
I see Lone Wanderer. Oh, and David, Autistic Page. Someone else I haven't seen around a whole lot lately. He got married. Now that he's got a family, he doesn't have time for us YouTubers.
Wait till your kids are teenagers and they'll start ignoring you.
And Commodore and Native Atheist. Hey, B, I sent you a link. I hope you had better luck getting it than I did getting yours. For some reason, last night Twitter was delaying on updating the DMs, and it took several hours for me to get B's link.
Oh, that's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Do you have teenage age children?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I have 2 teenage children.
Awesome.
And then my youngest one he's 10, so he's getting there to that preteen attitude.
It's my son has reached like peak preteen, and it's we were like buddies, and because he has autism, he hung out with me every day. He went everywhere with me, and now he's like, I just want to kick it at the house and play my Oculus.
Yeah, I'm through raising kids. I went through the phase with a couple of teenagers.
That's one of the reasons I started coming on live streams, was because after a certain time, I'm chilling by myself,
Yeah, at one point I had 3 teenage daughters at the same time.
Oh, that's rough.
Oof, my brother.
It
had 3
was
daughters.
rough because, at the time I was doing the male role, and I was the only male thing in the house. The dog, all the cats, even the friggin' tree in the backyard were all female.
Yeah, I definitely I see the reason why you need both parents, but my son definitely gets man overload living with me.
Well, you need both parents, and you need to stop at 2 kids. Once the kids outnumber the parents, you've had it, because they'll go in 3 different directions, and you can only chase 2 of them.
I have 3 kids, and we wait with the oldest one. There's like 5 years between let's see, he's 17 and she's 13, so yeah, there's like 4.5 years between the 2 of them. But between the younger 2, there's only a couple of years, so was a lot easier to have a bigger child that could grab the baby than to have 2 little ones that they just tend to fight.
Well, yeah, it does help if you've got enough of an age gap that some of them can kind of be referees at least.
Yeah. Well, my oldest, it's funny because he's kind of a nervous wreck because he worries about everybody and everything all the time. I do the same thing, I guess, but he was when the younger 2 were little, he would worry so much if they were not, and he'd come downstairs and look around and be like, "Oh, where's Grayson? Where's Delilah?" It's like,
I appreciate that. I appreciate people like that.
he had this nanny thing going on. It was adorable, but
a born helicopter parent, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
yes, I was serious. We had an 80-year-old cottonwood tree in the backyard, and it was female.
Oh, that's funny.
It was a cottonwood?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a wonderful thing to have around when you have allergies. And an 80-year-old tree, I mean, this thing took 3 of us to reach around the trunk.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Did it drop a lot of branches, though? I know cottonwoods can...
Yep. It eventually destroyed the house.
Oh.
Because it turned out that carpenter ants had hollowed most of it out, so in a good windstorm, it fell over on the house.
Oh, that's awful.
And it was a good thing I had just finished redoing the roof, because I wound up reframing the entire roof. And if I hadn't just done that, if I hadn't just reinforced the roof, the tree would have killed one of our daughters, because it managed to catch on some extra supports I put up there, and it literally stopped 2 feet above her bed.
And tomorrow I'm going to go cut my tree. I have a tree directly outside outside my window in the master bedroom, and I cut it down every year, but it's been a weird year this year.
Wow. That's cottonwood destroying the house. Good grief. Yeah, they're the ones that you see a lot of these lightning strike and storm videos where the tree just gets rocked really hard by either lightning or by a really strong wind, and it shudders for a second, then it just falls.
Well, like I say, for the size of that trunk, I can't imagine what that thing must have weighed.
Yeah. And it's fairly soft wood, so the carpenter ants probably just gnawed right through it within like a couple of seasons.
Well, no, I think that they had been working on it for a couple of decades, but...
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never
but
had
still,
carpenter
just the
ants.
size of that tree was just immense, and it had dropped, quite a few branches on the deck and
Yeah.
that before that.
Yeah, they drop branches even without carpenter ants too, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a couple of years before that, it dropped a branch the size of my leg across the deck and smashed up the deck pretty well.
Oh,
Yikes.
dang. It ever dropped tree-sized branches? So I've seen them drop like the big cotton ones drop branches that are the size of a freaking tree themselves.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That the one that hit the deck was as thick as my leg,
Yeah.
so that was the size of a small tree there.
We have oak trees around here that are like that. They'll
Palm trees?
No, oak trees.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll get ravaged by a fire or something, and all of a sudden you can hear the crack and they just fall.
There's some that live for a long
Slim.
time with the trunks burning. It's kind of crazy.
So, funny story. On my parents' property, my dad took a picture of a stump that was still burning like a week later. It's actually it's on the wall at the shop. How's it going, Slim?
Hey, Slim.
Good to be here.
But, I learned a lesson during a fire, and that was the first and only time I was ever legally allowed to cut down oak trees.
Are they protected in California?
Yeah, in Southern California. Well, Northern California is a nature preserve.
Yeah, the pretty much whole thing. Yeah.
And so from like Yosemite on, you can't touch a tree, but down here, like if it's older than your town, you're not allowed to touch it, which is basically every tree.
Hi, kids.
Hey,
Hey, Diane.
which is a good thing. We need to stop destroying nature. Where I live, we shave down mountains to put up houses for yuppies to live in, and then they put a small little patch of grass and a tree in the front yard.
Daí agora sentimentado.
Yeah.
I'll never understand
Okay.
that.
And then they
notice
complain
how
when the
most
mountain lion still wants to live there.
Oh, we have mountain lions, coyotes. Like it's real in the burbs out here. Like and we're encroaching on their land.
Because they don't know. They don't know that, hey, these are the people who are here now. They're like, this is where we've always lived.
It's so sad. We've built out almost all the way to the beach from here, from where I live, almost all the way to the beach are houses now.
You notice how most housing developments are called things like, Shady Oaks or something, that they're usually named for what they tore down to build the houses.
Yeah.
So true. So true. I get offended about that because I've been, hey, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey.
I've been fighting. When I was younger, I was a bit more idealistic, and I would go up against these big companies, and they had money, and they all won and destroyed my town.
Right. And like you said, they put a tree in the yard, but they put like imported trees. They put like Japanese maples and stuff in the yards.
Yeah. Usually
None of
stuff
that have
that's
anything against
totally
Japanese
unsuited
maple.
for
They're
the
beautiful
climate.
trees. Sorry, Purple. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I said usually they put in stuff that's totally unsuited for the climate.
Oh, absolutely. And where I live, it's that weird mix of like desert, but like if you go 30 miles, you're in the woods. If you go 30 miles, you're in the ocean. If you go south, you're in Mexico. It's weird topography here.
Sounds
Well,
amazing for
California
hiking, though.
changes pretty fast from desert to mountains.
Oh yeah, and we're not as hilly as like San Francisco, but LA has its hills.
That's what I loved about San Diego was you can drive 45 minutes in any direction and be in a different topography or in a different country, at the beach, in the mountains, in the snow. I mean, like literally you can drive almost anywhere and like
all the biomes right within a day's drive.
Yeah.
We're gonna I'm probably gonna go up this weekend, but they closed the Grapevine, which is the freeway, because people cannot stop crashing when it snows. The funny thing is, most people that move to LA are from cold weather cities, and they come here and can't drive. And I'll admit, I'm from here, man. Like I was driving in the rain all day. It didn't have one problem.
No,
that's not surprising, though. Everybody has to relearn at the beginning of the winter.
Yeah, I don't go out through the first 3 heavy snowfalls. The first 3 snowstorms we get, I don't go out because it takes at least 3 or 4 storms before people remember they knew how to drive in the snow.
Especially
Yeah.
here in the rain. Like, don't go 100. Don't go 120, and you'll be okay.
Jenny, is it snowy there?
Oh
Snowy
yeah,
yet?
we got about over the last couple of days we got about 8 inches.
Heck,
Oh. Coming down pretty good then, pretty wet. Is it real wet and heavy snow?
No, it's actually well the first batch that came through that dumped about 4 or 5 inches. Yeah, that was fairly wet and heavy. But it melted down a fair amount before the rest of it came, and the rest has just been this Alberta Clipper stuff that's real light and puffy.
Well, because it's so
very,
cold.
very pretty snow.
When it's cold, it comes down very light and puffy. So since we've been like right around 0 most of the time.
We just got flurries down here, but I know you're a little bit further north than me, but we're fairly close.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that makes me want to laugh now.
We really expected our average snowfall here is about 3 feet per season.
Yeah.
Today, Mammoth got 3 feet, and they were like, "It's record snow in Mammoth," and I was like, "How embarrassing, California! How embarrassing!"
Yeah, but see, we're not even in the mountains. We're like the start of the Great Plains.
That's what I'm
saying.
So
it's like we've got some small to medium sized hills to the east, and then it's all plains to the west.
Yeah, upper Midwest is kind of where I'm at too. So
yeah, but you're in Illinois, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Illinois.
Yeah, you're a flatlander.
I'm in Colorado.
Oh yeah, there's nothing. There's no. Speaking of topography, there's no topography in Illinois.
I grew up just north of Chicago.
So when I was like 17 or 18, I went to Calico, California with my father and a few friends. It was my first time on a long ride on a motorcycle. And this crazy lady came out and screamed at all of us, like, "Get out of here, you flatlanders." I had no idea what she was talking about. I had never heard that before. I was some sheltered kid from the valley, So every time I hear it, it makes me laugh. It just every time.
Illinois, Iowa are just absolutely flat as a pancake. When you get into Wisconsin or the southeast corner of Minnesota or the northeast corner of Iowa, it's very, very hilly. And,
I grew up in Missouri. Yeah, Missouri's got a lot of topography. It's got mountains and valleys and rivers and natural springs. It's honeycombed with caves.
BrainBug, you're from Missouri?
Yeah.
You're the loveliest person I've ever met from Missouri.
Yeah, they're mostly assholes. That's why I moved out.
You just changed my opinion a little bit. Like, you're the first person from Missouri I've ever met that. Like,
I always refer to Missouri. I always refer to Missouri as being the most northern southern state.
Yeah, it's really they're
that's Indiana or maybe Ohio.
Missouri dipped its toes in all this really hard right wing stuff. Like they were the ones that really started pushing on the abortion stuff and repealing that. They were the first state to start working on tearing down Roe versus Wade, basically. And that's when we decided, it's like, hey, you know what? We both work in Illinois anyway. Let's just move over there and get the hell out of this state. But it's too bad because Missouri is beautiful country. It really is. They get down to the Ozarks where it's real rocky and mountains, and it's really beautiful countryside. But the people there suck. Not that there's too much difference here. Because I'm just like right. I'm like I drive a mile and a half west, and I'm in Missouri again. So. So the culture here is not that much different, if not different at all. It's more when you get towards like Chicago and stuff, you start to see some more culture instead of this homogenous small town Midwest crap.
Wow. It's not all rainbows and blowjobs here in Southern California. There's a ton of Trumpers, a ton of people with money, but I've surrounded myself with gay people, so I can't tell the difference. You know,
I can't believe the anti-vaxxer protests that they've had in California.
Huge.
I was like, wait, you're supposed to be the ones that are, I don't want to, that are more like, I don't know. The problem is the holistic people are the ones jumping on that bandwagon,
Yep.
and there's a lot of holistic people in the Californias. So that's where I see it. But I was watching the other day, I don't remember who went to one of these protests, but they were interviewing them, and they sound like everybody else. And it's like, oh my God, California, you're supposed to be the people who are like on board with things, you know?
Progressive,
Like,
yeah.
I think as Americans, though, we've all become kind of radicalized, you know? So
Yeah,
people
totally.
pick a side and they're like, I'm going to totally, stand for this side. And it's really sad.
Well, and
also,
people
I think we have to stop thinking of states as being in any way homogenous. I think that what Trump getting elected really showed us is that regardless of the state, the big cities are going to be Democratic and the smaller areas are going to be Republican. So you've got to break it down county by county. You can't go by an entire state.
And don't get me wrong, like, if you move to California and you're LGBTQIA plus, like, you're protected. There's laws that protect you, but we shouldn't need those laws. Is my whole point, you know?
Yep.
So, like anywhere else, California has massive problems.
Well, and unfortunately, I think our whole political climate now has shown us that the government doesn't give a shit about protecting anyone. They're only concerned about how the stock market's doing.
And pandering to their voters.
Just enough to keep them in office. Have
Well,
you
what
seen
was
this
really
crap
trippy-
going around now that they're saying that wealthy people should get more say in the vote?
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, that's what
How?
Yeah, like being able to give unlimited amounts to any political candidate isn't enough power for them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And
what
it not being
gerrymandering was
traced.
based on, though, right? It was the way to get the landowners that owned all the plantations more voting rights because they're slaves. What am I thinking of? The 3/5 compromise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in modern day terms, I'm a capitalist, and like I have over 200 employees in the group that I work with. So would I have more say?
Well, and it actually was one of the matters that was debated in the First Continental Congress, that some of the founding fathers thought that only landowners should be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
Like I own land because my father did and my grandfather before him did.
Yep.
Does that mean I'm going to have more say?
Well,
Then
and that's what
everybody
they
needs-
wanted at the time.
Everybody needs to leave my town. I don't care where you're from. Even if you're from here, get out.
I think that kind of went with the assumption that if you were poor, it's because you were too stupid to be rich.
Yeah.
Meritocracy.
Honestly, around here, the only way people have money is because the people before them did. Most
Totally.
people, at least most people I know, we're just lucky.
Yeah, totally.
I talk about it
Yeah.
all the time. All the
Yeah,
time. I'm just,
I think that's pretty much the case with America now, that, the only way you can really have money now is to inherit it. You can't really work your way up from the bottom anymore.
Generational wealth is what it's called, and
Yep.
it is a very significant part of the structure of our society. It's one of the things that is weighing so heavily on minorities is that they don't have the generational wealth because they've been so oppressed over the generations and just haven't had any sort of earning opportunities
Well,
for
the properly
proper wages,
run.
for proper what they were, how they work.
Yeah,
The
Mage,
problem-
I'm feeling better. I'm still not feeling well. At this point, I think it's the new prescriptions are suppressing the symptoms, but I don't think my body's really healing yet.
In a properly run economy, shouldn't we expect the wealth to be kind of evenly or fairly evenly distributed amongst the population to keep the cogs turning, but it's just sitting in these stagnant piles with
Yeah.
individual people around the.
Well, that's the way capitalism's supposed to work, because capitalism actually performs best the more often money is exchanged.
I hate to get all Malcolm X on you, but do you spend money in your neighborhood? Do you like support local businesses and stuff?
I try to.
As much
I
as
try
I
as much
can.
as possible to buy brands that are made in the state.
I buy from my
Getting to be
local drug
impossible
dealers.
anymore.
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Just
I
kidding.
mean, all you find anymore is, Squall Mart and what are the other big companies? It's
Yeah.
Any of
getting to
those,
the
but
point where
yeah.
like 3 companies own everything.
Yeah.
Well, and
Well,
one
that's
of the
why I
things I
try to-
like is one of the grocery stores here is actually employee owned.
Yeah, that's the one I use here too, as a worker co-op, employee owned.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
We don't
So
where I
actually a
live.
good-
We do not have any major corporate businesses here at all. There's an Ace Hardware. Oh no, excuse me, True Value Hardware. But that's a franchise. It's owned.
Yeah.
It's owned and operated by a family that lives next door to me.
Yep.
You know? And that's it. That's the only thing close to. Well, no, I'm sorry. That's not correct. We do have a Dollar General now.
Well, it's also why
nationwide.
it's also why Menards is always my first choice for any of the building materials and stuff, because it's a regional company, but it's always been family owned.
Well, Squall Mart is family owned too. So what does that buy you?
Well, yeah, but
Hobby Lobby is family owned. Chick-fil-A is family owned.
yeah.
Well, what you should say is just buy local. That's what we try to say. Just find the local companies that are the mom and pop or the
Put your money back into your own community. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Right.
like I said, I try to find at least companies that I know are creating jobs in the state.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There's a donut shop down the street from my house. It's in the shopping center by my house. They live on the other block from my house. During COVID, I would get up, go and buy donuts, come back home, and go back to sleep.
Okay.
Just to help them out, because I knew eventually they were going to go under, and they haven't yet.
Good.
Yeah, and that's what I see as being the biggest effect of COVID, is that especially the family-run restaurants are going to all disappear, and we're going to have nothing left but the corporate chains.
And that donut shop, I've known them so long that when I used to ditch in elementary school, the lady at the donut shop used to always tell me, "Oh, go to school." And she was in high school, and now we're both old and we point and laugh at each other, and you really don't get that kind of community anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's why I support like my local bars, clubs, and restaurants, because I'm trying to make it so that they're going to always be there, because they're the ones that supported me before all this crap. And so that's what I've been doing recently, is trying to go out, and then I perform at I've been performing at a bunch of local places. There's a really cool underground theater called The Lyric around where I live in Fort Collins, and I performed there. And man, they turned the inside of this place into this like art installation. They got like 100 pieces of local artists' artwork in there that they bought and they put in there, and they made it look like you're going into a movie set almost, walking into this place. And it's just, I would rather support a local person or company, because they're going to bring me something new that I've never seen, where you go into any Chili's and they look exactly the same. Besides
that's one of the things I like about being here is that, yes, everybody in town shops in their neighborhood, because we only have one neighborhood. And everybody depends on all the businesses there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice.
And
Very
unfortunately,
1940s.
I didn't really get a chance to like scout out any of the local businesses here, because the first lockdown literally started 2 weeks after we moved here.
Dang.
Where is Caribou Coffee out of? 'Cause we just got that franchise down here. It's from somewhere up north.
Yeah, they're all over the country, though. I don't know where their base is.
Yeah.
Not anywhere around here.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I wouldn't know.
I don't know where they started, but we just got our first It's really interesting. I've lived here now 6 years, and 2 years ago we got our first Starbucks, and a year ago we got our first Caribou, and they're literally next door to each other.
Yeah.
That's awkward. You know, I quit going to Starbucks like 3 years ago because I did the math, and I was spending $200 to $250 a month at Starbucks.
I can't.
I would get a drink every day before work, or I would get something on the way home, or I would take my son, and anytime I take him, you know, he's an extra $10-15.
Yeah.
Okay, according to this thing over to here's from the Wikipedia, the Caribou Coffee was founded in Edina, Minnesota in 1992.
Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
And the headquarters
Minnesota,
is currently in Minneapolis.
Yep.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
brew all my
actually,
coffee
that would
at
be
home.
pronounced Medina, but yeah, it's southwest suburb of Minneapolis.
Ay, carasa, parlo correctly.
Purple, did you say you lived in Minneapolis before?
Yeah, I lived in St. Paul mostly, but I
Oh,
lived
St.
in
Paul.
Minneapolis for some years also.
Yeah.
Something about it you had a question on?
What's that?
Something about it you had a question on?
No, I was just because I was wondering if it was up in your area because you said that because you were saying that when we brought it up that they were all over or whatever. I'm wondering if yeah, because I bet they are all over up there. The Caribou coffees. Does Starbucks even do good in that area?
Oh yeah, yeah. There actually was a point that at one intersection in southwest Minneapolis, there were literally 3 Starbucks at that intersection. Because the way it divided that intersection was the borderline between the city and 2 of the suburbs. So they were technically in 3 different cities, but they were all at the same intersection.
But that's a bunch of poo-poo because I don't get that. You know, they're all in direct competition with each other.
Yeah, but the company that sells the franchises doesn't give a shit about the franchise owners making money.
Right
Yeah.
now,
When I was in Boston, I went downtown with some friends that I was visiting there, and they took me to a Starbucks down in Maine, Boston. I don't know exact location, but the street that it was on was a very busy street, and you know it was a one-way street, and there was like 5 lanes of traffic. It was nasty. And across the street was another Starbucks.
Yep.
And they said, well, we believe that, we don't know for sure, but we believe that they built that there because the street is so busy, people don't like to cross it.
yeah, but here, where I live, you can be in my grocery store. You can be standing at the bar of the Starbucks, looking out the door at another Starbucks, and across the street from the shopping center next to the 7-Eleven is a Starbucks.
Yeah, in the local shopping plaza, what's called the Waterfront in Homestead, there's a Starbucks in the Barnes and Noble, and maybe I don't know, 50 yards away, there's a freestanding Starbucks. It's insane.
West Hollywood is the same way. They, I know because I worked at both of them. There's one on Robinson, and there's one like 4 blocks down. And at the Vons in West Hollywood, there's a Starbucks in there too. You know,
It's for example, with that 3 on the intersection, the third guy in there, I think is kind of stupid, but I feel bad for the first one who went in there and then had the other 2 come on in.
Yeah, because he had already been invested in developing a client base in the area.
Yeah, huh?
In our little burg of 979 people, we have a coffee roaster who roasts coffee and sells it to a number of stores in the county, like 5 or 6 different cities around in the county that buy it, and other coffee shops in these places also buy it. And we have separate from that, we have a coffee shop. And so we have 2 places we can go get coffee.
I never paid much attention to any of them because I never liked coffee.
And they're across the street from each other.
Yeah. Well, Jenny, when Jyuni came up here and we went to was it a Starbucks? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
and it's like I was literally looking for anything in there on the menu that I could have, and it's like I don't like coffee, and even all their teas were freaky. I couldn't just get a plain cup of black tea. So it really turned out that a bottle of water was the only thing they sold that I was willing to drink.
What, don't they have real tea anymore? They just have the fancy stuff?
Yeah, it was all like chai teas and things. They didn't have any just plain black tea.
Really?
That's tofu.
They
Yeah,
have tea.
I
They
get
have tea
black
here.
tea when I go to Starbucks sometimes. I add peach to it. I ask them to, but they have black tea at the ones here.
yeah, it wasn't on the menu there.
I became addicted to a tea called Joy that they would only sell during the holiday season, and it was just black and green tea mixed. I still drink that mix to this very day.
Well, mostly what I drink is my own house blend for iced tea, which is a mix of black tea, peppermint, and chamomile.
Okay then. Okay.
I used to buy in my
Yeah.
college days. I would buy a Celestial, or was it? Yeah, I think it was Celestial Seasonings tea called Morning Thunder.
What I want to know though, how much work is it grinding those camels to make the camel meal? No.
And Jenny, I knew Morning Thunder. I had to get a restraining order on that guy.
Lavender, Diana, they're a little hard to get started, but as long as you get the head in first, they stop fighting real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
Morning Thunder reminds me of a strip club that I used to go to in Vegas.
So,
They were all nice gentlemen.
Purple, do you like hot tea or iced tea?
Mostly I drink iced tea, but sometimes hot tea.
Yeah.
Actually, I brew it hot and then I chill it.
Nowadays, I drink Earl Grey and that's it.
Earl Grey is
And
the bomb.
I drank Earl Grey long before Picard even existed. So
You drinking your tea hot, Godless Belly?
Yes, I do. Well, it depends on the time of year because it's so hot here. But I
Yeah.
obsessively drink tea, and Purple found out this summer I make, because I would put it in all the groups I was in. I make sun tea,
Yeah.
but I make it so strong it's like medicinal because I'll put like 25 tea bags in there.
What the hell?
Well, after one time the Badger came in here and we had a good go around about it, about how the British are about iced tea. So ever since then, anytime I make iced tea, Sloth Girl refers to her just poking the Badger.
Diana, I make
like tea.
I make what I
That's with
consider
some peach in it.
Sorry. I make what I consider the poor man's latte with really, really strong coffee and some sort of creamer and sugar. But I'm obsessed with like really strong coffee. So I'm like that with my tea as well. Has to have a punch. There's no point to it if you're not shaking and having to smoke a joint,
Okay. Secular pagan mom, I'm not sure what state you're in, but you didn't have a lockdown until last year?
Hmm.
Are you in
That's,
Florida?
Okay, so funny story. They've had these huge COVID outbreaks in the NHL, and they stopped last week for 5 days.
Yeah.
And yesterday, or I think it was either yesterday or 2 days ago, Kings scored, or 2 days ago, a few games were they were like, okay, we're not going to do it COVID protocol. And in LA, like we went full COVID protocol. You can't sit next to people anymore. I made a bet with my mom. I was like, I bet you $10 Florida is going to have a full stadium and they're going to be the first game on. And they were. Because in the state of Florida, they could care less about COVID, So they're like, oh, play hockey here. We don't care,
Yeah, you looked at the most recent COVID maps that show the last 2 years. Florida's like the darkest. There's like the points on the map are in Florida. And there's
I
two
already
of
knew.
them.
I already knew without even looking there was going to be a game in Florida because they were telling everybody in LA, like, you're lucky if you get a hockey game tonight. but they just told half of the people, we'll give you a refund. You can't show up. Because I used to be a season ticket holder, so I get all the secret emails.
Yeah. Well, what is it? You know, are Texas and Florida like having a contest about who can handle this the worst?
Pretty much.
It's it's the old saying, denial is not just a river in Egypt. They've taken it to a whole different level. And quite honestly,
you know, about Texas, since we're chatting on Texas here for a moment, you know, Texas has made absolutely zero changes in their grid since last winter.
I know, it's hilarious. I have a conspiracy theory.
Well-
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get rid of all the people who've owned homes for a long time, or a lot of homeowners are going to not get vaccinated, and we know what happens when that happens and they get COVID. And then the housing market's going to flip in like 2 years. That's my prediction. There's my conspiracy theory. Is they're doing it for the housing market.
Well,
that's happening here
I
right
thought,
now.
especially with Florida, since they originally thought it was basically just killing off elderly people. I thought Florida thought they were going to use it as a way to reduce their welfare rolls.
Yeah, there you go. There you
know,
go.
and
That's the
possibly-
pandemic.
And possibly in the federal Congress that they were thinking that this was going to be a way to save Social Security by not having to pay off so many.
So that is way more believable than any of the other conspiracy theories about why they're killing off the population. Or the new thing is stunting it so that there is not a new population.
Yeah. Well,
That's
see,
what
that,
they're saying.
that's always the problem that most conspiracies fall apart on, is ask them for a motive. That they can
Yeah.
never explain who's getting a payoff at the end of this.
And
Yeah,
we
totally.
give the human race way too much credit.
I know.
Way.
We
If
do.
you see people in a crowd, you would
Yeah.
be like, wow, it's amazing our species has made it this far.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Cutting out the legs of population expansion would be suicide for companies, because their capitalism is based on growth. Like
Yep.
your company has to grow, like, what is it, 3 to 5% every year, or it's
Yeah,
going to go out
the
of
U.S.
business.
is actually afraid of negative population growth.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
know
of
that
course
would be
they
a
are.
huge problem
Yeah.
for capitalism.
If you don't have people, you can't have a government to control the people. So you need those people. So that if you get rid of the people, then you don't have anybody to govern or to control or make money off of. All the grifters need all the griftees to grift off of. So you don't want to kill your population, because then you don't make money. I mean, that's the easiest way to. I mean,
Yeah, but when politicians are making these decisions, they're remember when
making
we
sure they're
talk
getting
about
the votes.
yeah, when we talk about people in the U.S. at least, corporations are people, and
Yeah.
they pump a lot of money into politicians, especially the oil industry, the pharmaceutical industry. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
so some
I think
people,
Mage has this right about Texas, though, that they're not worried about weathering the power grid because they're convinced that it's not going to snow there again for another 100 years.
Okay.
I imagine Texas is going to see lots of severe weather, and along the coast, they're going to see a lot more hurricanes. And
Well, the other thing they forget is it was because of the heat that it also failed. So
Well, yeah,
it's
too
this-
many people trying to run air conditioners at the same time.
Well, didn't it also happen in the summer as well? Is that it just became too hot? It was like 120 or 130 degrees, and then it actually blew certain things. It happened twice, right? I thought it
Well,
happened
yeah,
in the
you
winter.
get some of that of transformers overheating, but
Yeah,
most
and
of
so
it has to do with just that, too many people running air conditioners at the same time is just drawing too much power, and the system can't handle it.
Yeah, AC. Yeah, too many. Yeah, that's what it was. It was running too many. Yeah, totally. But all they have to do is just spend a little bit of money to reinforce it, and then those things work. But
That's
again,
the problem. They don't want to
they-
invest capital to upgrade the
I know.
system.
they
I
could
know.
share their grid with their neighbors like the rest of the damn country, and then it
But
wouldn't be a
they
problem.
passed laws specifically against that. They want to be an independent grid, and that's why they weren't able to get assistance from their states around when they needed the power, which is why people froze to death.
Yeah, that's any other state. When things started going wrong, they would have just drawn power in from the neighboring states.
Right, yeah. That's what they do here
Yeah.
when they have a big snowstorm.
Yeah, that's why there's a nation power grid, and Texas did not want to be a part of that because they thought they were badass and better than everybody else, which proved it wrong. And it just proves why they can't secede from the nation. They keep pretending they're going to, just like I think Florida and maybe a couple other places.
California.
Yeah,
California.
They've been making that threat for 100 years.
You know what would be the biggest result if Texas seceded from the nation? The Republicans would not win another federal election for at least 100 years. If you took away the electoral votes from Texas, the Republicans couldn't win.
That would be tough for everything. There's so much.
Or Mexico would just take over Texas.
Well,
why would they even want to?
I don't know,
I
but
heard
you
there
know
are rumblings
that
in the
would be.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Talk.
No.
Jenny, you go.
Yeah.
I heard that there are currently rumblings that are developing over the last few months, a year, of secession movements with the southern states again.
Okay, so
I'd like to see him go.
So after the Civil War, I'm Professor selling smoking weed all day. So there's an actual law where you can't secede from the Union. There's there's some wording or something. So they can there was a Collexit, and that guy quit a couple days ago. They're trying to get a California exit. New Hampshire right now as we speak, they're drafting legislation to secede from the Union. And it's going to be a laugher when they try to pass it through.
There actually is a federal law about that. However, when that law was written, Texas was given an exemption from that.
Bye.
So
They're
Texas
not even on our
is the
grid.
one state who could.
Can you imagine a state in the middle of the country or not on the border? Even if they were on the border, seceding, what are you going to do? That you can't go to you can't leave that. Yeah, I mean, none of it makes
I don't
any
think people,
sense.
Our banking infrastructure, I don't think people realize the infrastructure that we have. If that disappeared overnight, you're effed because your bank has nothing to back up what they're saying anymore. You know, so
what would be your currency? Yeah, what would be your currency? How would you? Where would you be? If so, then any time that there was going to be a train, a bus, and anything semi making commerce through that place, they'd have to go around it. Now you just lost any type of commerce, right? Nobody's going to go in that place. So they're going to go around it, and now you're going to just like die because you're going to become a ghost town.
Yep.
I don't think people realize what it would really take. Just like when people start rattling on about Civil War, we are nowhere near a Civil War yet. Nowhere near it. And you'll know because your town will be on fire. That's how you'll know. I don't think the average person really realizes what would happen if the infrastructure or the grid, if the grid went down right now. Could you survive 2 months?
2 months or try 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. That's what
I mean, fortunately, as soon as your refrigerator was empty, it'd be finished.
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I used to do rendezvous with a Native American dance troupe, and we would spend 2 weeks out in the woods of Colorado with no. You could not bring any technology that existed after 1836. So I learned how to like make my fires. I learned how to smoke out of a pipe with a wax string that that you smolder, because there's no such thing. I mean, you don't light a match every time you want to smoke out of your pipe. So I actually learned how to cook and how to live in the wilderness as if it was before technology. So I am one of the lucky ones to be like, oh, I can actually go out and do this crap. Most people do not understand the concept of what it's like to go cut down a tree, bring in the wood, anything like that. That is so difficult to actually.
Well, wait till they find out they can't burn that wood because it's too damn wet from resin yet. They have to let it dry out for a year.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Yeah, you have to know which type of wood to cut down and how to do it in which order, and then how to make the small fire to make the big fire burn almost anything. Once you have a bonfire, you can almost burn anything, but you have to be able to get the spark, to get to the kindling, to get to the smaller wood, to get to the actual fire, and then from there you go, and then also from there, making arrowheads or making things from the fire is a whole nother thing that you have to realize.
Drinking water,
in that, and purifying water is a major thing as well when you're in that situation, and. Boiling water is a major thing you have to do. If you can't make a fire, you're screwed. You're gonna.
I've got most of the survival skills. I could handle most of that, but the biggest threat is going to be other people.
Yeah, completely, for sure. I mean, that's where hopefully, if you could, which this is just like what Tim Pool would say. If you could just go live in the woods, but if things went down, I would just drive as far as I could into the middle of wilderness and find a place where I knew I was at a stream and I could, build things, and hopefully nobody would find me. But that's very, very rare if we come into.
I'm kind of banking on, that the collapse of the city is probably something they'd see coming to some extent, or even if just the grid shut down. Yeah. And I'm banking on everybody else evacuating the city, so I'm going to stay put and fortify here.
Well, there you go. There you go.
So during the 94 earthquake, something really weird happened where all my neighbors came together. Our grid was down for a full month. We didn't have power. Our water was so chlorinated, we had to double boil it because it was reeking coming out of the pipes,
Yeah.
But no one got in any fights. Tensions were not high, but you could see all the adults were like, this is getting old. to the kids, we were like, it's a party, but we stayed together as a community and we fed each other.
Yeah, and that would definitely happen for a while. I mean, a couple months for sure. But as soon as people started realizing there wasn't going to be the government turning anything back on, that's when the fun is going to start. But we could probably be in our little community for a hot minute and all be helping each other, and that's what we all should do because, we're humanitists. I probably said that wrong, but we're into taking care of each other. We are, as humans, we are small group animals, so we do want to take care of our colony or our bubble that's around us. So that will work for a while, and resources do start really running out. And the thing that people don't realize, or maybe don't, and then also the movies always pretend doesn't happen, like in Mad Max, is gas does go bad after a while.
Oh, heck yeah.
It goes stale and it'll screw up your carburetor.
Yeah, so the engines that we're using in 2 to 3 years of no processing happening, we will be stuck at those not working. So we'll have to find other avenues from there, which isn't a big deal, but that's a major thing that some of these people forget is they're like, how much gas I got saved up? You're like, yeah, well, that's only going to last you so long, homie. You need to find like real engines that like run off oil or, things that.
Or know how to make one.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even from an engineering standpoint, knowing how to make a fence that could withstand someone hitting it with a car.
Totally. I mean, there's little things like that you don't realize.
Welding is a good skill.
Oh yeah.
Completely.
Actually, you guys are assuming that you're going to have electricity.
Well, you welding you can do with a battery that you have that is charged. So if you can just keep you're right. I mean, of course, we're assuming that.
Where are you
Yeah,
going to
you
get that
can do a limited amount with a
oxacetylene?
car battery, but one battery won't get you very long.
Jenny,
Where are
I'm
you
gonna
get that oxacetylene, huh?
I'm gonna find the person that
Yeah.
has it and shoot them, and take it in front of everybody. You don't want to see me. You do not want to see me in a grid down situation. I'm going full warlord. I'm going full warlord.
Well, part of my plan for the zombie apocalypse was to cut up a couple of steel dumpsters for the armor pieces and transform a couple of those little skip loader tractors into miniature tanks. They wouldn't be very fast, but they're amazingly agile. So, working in tight places, they're much better than a car.
That's a fantasy.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I said it was for the zombie apocalypse. I don't expect that to be happening either.
Yeah.
Oh, that's already happening. It's called COVID.
I was about to say it's a zombie. It depends what your definition of zombie is.
Now, let's not be derogatory here. Zombies are way smarter than anti-vaxxers.
Or flat earthers.
Oh my gosh. So I have a friend who's Norwegian, and we got in an argument the other night about, I can't say it properly. What's one of those Trump drugs that the horse dewormer?
Ivermectin.
Okay. So we were having an adult conversation, and I cut her off. I said, "You're not bringing up that horse dewormer BS." But I said the word BS, and she's like, "Let me tell you, it has this and this and this." COVID is not going to go away because people like my friend have been convinced of bullshit science.
So you know the difference. You know the difference between a worm and a virus. They're two different scales of being. For one, for two, that's not how that works, honey. Like you can't have.
And for the record, I only date cougars, so she's at least 10 years older than I am.
So it's about that. It's about that age.
Yeah, these people literally don't understand the difference between a parasite and a virus.
Well, why do you use different cleaning products on different surfaces? True. Not because you don't ruin different surfaces. It's because certain surfaces only are being cleaned by being touched by that product, right? Or that thing. So if you think of your body as that, it's like, oh, the only thing that kills certain things is these things, not everything else. You can't use everything to kill everything.
Hey, Stool. So, Mage, that was my second tweet. What Mage is saying, you can't shoot the virus. That was quite literally the second tweet I ever made. Was, you wear a mask, you can't shoot the virus.
As far as Slim's discussion was going there, for example, you can get acetone. Acetone is this great substance, man. You can just rip the shit out of any kind of oily surface and make it absolutely spotless clean. But let's say you got to get some film or some sticky, gooey, ucky stuff off of a steel bottle, an air bottle or something like that. Ain't going to do that, but ammonia will. Okay.
Yeah. Acetone will also dissolve most plastics.
And don't combine ammonia with anything.
And ammonia will dissolve most lungs. So you got to be really careful with it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to know the right.
Have a good night.
Have a great night, BrainBug.
It was nice being on with you.
Thanks for dropping in.
It's like you have to use the right ammunition for the right whatever job. You have to use the right product for the right job, the right tool for the right job, right? That's the saying. Yeah. If you use the wrong tool, you're not going to be able to get the job done. So when somebody says, "Hey, we there's a thing that gets rid of worms, bacteria that worms put inside you by them being inside you," what does that have to do with the virus? You have to look at the closer picture. That has nothing to do. Worms have nothing to do with the virus. They're not that.
But COVID has become political.
People drinking bleach because bleach will kill the virus. Yeah, it'll kill the virus. It'll also fuck up all of your internal organs.
COVID has become political, and so people get indoctrinated. We're left or right. Do you know in America, if you took our politics, we are conservative compared to any other country. Like our Democrats are more conservative than like the conservatives in Mexico. I lived in Mexico. You could, they have crazy laws, but you could party in Mexico.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally.
Did any of you see what happened in Britain today?
No.
There was a what do they call a rally? Let's say that a rally for the anti-vaxxers. Except they decided to have it at a testing location where there's rows and rows and rows of cars, people coming in getting tested for COVID, hundreds and hundreds of people at a time.
I saw that.
And they decided to get violent and start ripping apart the testing areas and taking tests that were taken already and waiting for processing and destroying those and stealing things and just made a whole mess of things. That they've taken it from a political thing and decided that there's some kind of religious fervor about it, that they have to destroy and hurt other people because of what they believe. They're actually hurting people because of this now.
I saw stuff on that, something on that yesterday. Actually, it was because something about that they're looking for people in the pictures who threw away the test kits and stole supplies from the clinic.
This woman literally is on. Sorry, go ahead, Stool.
The woman. It was actually the day before yesterday for me because I'm from the future. So the police have got a still of the crazy lady, and they're asking for more information because she's the idiot.
She grabbed an entire.
She stole the testing kits.
Yeah, she walked in. You could see the footage of it. It's scary because she walked in America. She would have been tackled. She would have gotten her ass tackled in America. But British people are polite.
Well, Will, it's nice to think that, but some shit like that's been going on here too, and not necessarily.
Don't try that in LA. You'll get beat up.
Well, and if somebody's acting that crazy, people are afraid to confront them because what's the chance they're carrying a gun?
You've got to realize, though, that these people, they've been doing this for months and months and months. They've been having big rallies in Trafalgar Square and all sorts. They're totally...
Yep.
And the one that you're talking about, this was only a testing center. Okay. It's not like they were giving the vaccine. So what does this achieve? And
going to jail for a long time.
Interestingly enough,
I don't get where their logic is, though, that they have the right to take away other people's choice to go get a test.
They don't.
These are not logical people. They're really not. They're so indoctrinated with this bullshit. And oddly enough, one of the ringleaders was, of course, Piers Corbyn. For those not familiar, that's the brother of Jeremy Corbyn, who used to be the leader of the Labour Party. Oh, right on cue, here's the Jester.
Why is it influenza, Katie?
Oh, because I'm sick. Like, I got the flu.
Oh,
Yay. That was my
flu.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, I don't have COVID. Negative for COVID, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
But they also...
Get well soon.
The following day after this event, another one occurred. Not the same group of people. It was in Liverpool, and they entered a hospital and created a scene.
I saw films of that too.
Started calling the nurses murderers, and they were accusing the nurses of kidnapping the patients and all kinds of shit.
I saw that too. Hi, Kitty.
Just an update for anybody who didn't get the memo that I got the results back Sunday that I tested positive for COVID. So, I got to see the doctor and he gave me some prescriptions that are helping with the symptoms, but I'm going to be a while healing. But at least I was double vaxxed, so I'm just stuck at home. At least I don't have to go in the hospital. I wasn't able to get the booster yet. I was supposed to actually have gotten the booster today because my clinic was so backed up they couldn't make me an appointment to get me in for it.
I was
I've been
planning on
trying to get it since October.
Yeah, I was planning
So-
on getting the booster this week too, but you can't get it if you're already sick with something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm just a little ticked that they didn't give me the booster last month. That might have avoided this.
That's yeah. I think, by the way, I think that was me that shared that thing about that anti-vax rally in the Milton Keynes.
It got me going. There's certain
Yeah,
things that I watch.
really, really.
It really.
Yeah, I
I'm not
saw
normally.
that Jeff, you had posted that all over Twitter, and that was the first I'd heard
I-
of it. And I went
yeah.
and read the article you posted.
Well, I'm not normally in the. I mean, I'm not normally in the habit of actually helping the police that often. But I hope that I want them to get. I want them to get the people, especially that woman.
She's insane.
I want. Well, what it appeared that she took was, it looked, it's difficult to say, but it looked like she may have actually taken test samples. So,
What does that accomplish?
what's that? I mean, that was what I said. It's just actively hurting people who may be waiting on test results who might be positive for
I have
COVID.
to kind of play devil's advocate here, kind of, if you know where I'm coming from. This is weird, but these are not the brightest of. These are not the sharpest knives in the drawer.
Yeah.
These people.
Well,
I'm
I don't know
convinced
if she
they
had any
thought-
clue what it was she was grabbing. She was
No.
just trying to do something
Yeah.
to damage the center.
I'm convinced that these idiots thought that a testing center is somewhere where you go to get the jab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I assume that they were probably thinking they were destroying the vaccine.
Knuckle dragger.
I want you all to resist stuff suddenly saying all the things that are irrelevant, like, oh, well, the herd immunity and blah, 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 and they'll mutate and other people get sick and blah, 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 blah. Look, the longer these people stay anti-vaxxers, the more of them are going to fucking die from getting it and dying from it. So,
but they're taking the rest of us
Darwin's
with
in charge here.
Exactly.
They're fucking
but-
it up for the rest
Yeah.
of us, though, Jenny. That's the
Right.
problem.
Exactly.
We've gotten this vaccine that we may get it, but it's not killing us. The people who are dying are people who haven't been vaxxed. 98% of the people who are dying in the hospitals are people who
Yeah.
haven't been
But
vaxxed.
there's
Okay,
right
I-
there.
Real
You said the word hospital. They're taking up hospital beds. That
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah. Other things.
Then we have
So
to do
it-
something
Yeah.
about that. But
If you have appendicitis or if you get in a car accident, you have a massive coronary, even if you're triple vax, you could still die because
This-
the fucking plague
I
rats. are
understand that, and I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But let's not worry about the anti-vaxxers. Let them be what they want to be, and let them die.
Yeah, but because of them,
I think
they
we should
could-
take them out of the beds in hospitals and toss them in the hallway and give somebody who needs the bed the bed.
I
Because-
actually did a
because of
TikTok on
them.
this because I think it was Dr. Gupta was suggesting that basically anti-vaxxers, people who do not have the COVID vaccine, should be sent to the back of the line like we do for people who are overweight or smokers if you need a transplant or something like that, where it's like if you have refused to get vaccinated, you're at the back of the treatment line and save those hospital beds for the vaccinated people that need them.
Okay, I
Well,
agree with you, but in the meantime, someone such as myself who is vaxxed, but I'm still immunocompromised.
Yep.
When I took the vaccine, I honestly thought it was going to take me out, but I got vaxxed and I'm still at risk. And
Mhm.
someone who's a plague rat will kill me.
The other problem
know.
is that the people who aren't getting vaccinated are just walking petri dishes for developing new strains.
And
And
that's
also
sooner or
an
later, you're
No,
going to have a breakthrough
that's
strain that the vaccine
exactly.
isn't going to protect against.
And
The
we'll be back to
problem is
square
with
one.
these
Major problem.
these people, once they go down the rabbit hole, doesn't matter what the conspiracy theory is, they'll demand answers or evidence. You give it to them,
Can we just ship all the plague rats off to their own
And they'll-
island?
and they'll
Give them
want
plague
something
island.
else. They'll ask for something else. So for ages, they've been saying, okay, so many cases, so many hospitalizations. How many people in hospitals are unvaxxed? And the figures are there. We now know 70% it is in the UK of hospitalizations have not had the vaccine. 70%. So now they've moved on, and they're now saying, well, 70% means nothing. Give us the numbers. Well, 70% does actually mean something. And I actually checked, and the numbers are there for where I live in the Northwest. It's all broken down hospital by hospital. How many are in beds? How many are in ICU? How many are on the breathing apparatus and what have you? It's all there, but they're never happy with the answers. And we've now got, I think, 6 million people who, for whatever reason, are not getting vaccinated.
And 70% still doesn't meet the stage that they required, for even that level of herd immunity.
How many people will Gitmo hold? Can we just send the anti-vaxxers to Gitmo?
What was Jenny saying?
We don't have the room.
Yeah.
We don't have the room. Pick a state you don't like, and no matter what state you say, someone's gonna not like you.
Hey,
Pick a
Florida,
state.
Texas.
You could have 90% herd immunity in this country, and it's still going to be a problem because there are entire continents like Africa and much of Asia,
Jenny.
which have not been getting any kind of vaccines whatsoever.
The Africans are vaccinated, but a lot are getting crappy vaccines. They're saying, "Hey, we want something past a certain expiration date." It's political. It's not that they're not getting vaccines; they're getting treated like shit.
Well, that's Jenny is right, and part of the problem is the patents on the vaccines, that they can't produce them in certain countries.
Don't blame Africans; they don't have the infrastructure.
Well, and like India, India's having a terrible problem with people dying all over the place, because even though they're producing the vaccine, most of it is being sold to other countries, and they don't have enough for their own people.
This is why I sort of say something. Fuck Bill Gates, by the way, because that the team at Oxford, they were going to make that vaccine open source. Then it was fucking Bill Gates who convinced them to sell it to AstraZeneca.
I have not seen anybody produce one shred of evidence about that.
I'm with Jenny on this one.
Not from our side of the argument, not from the other side of the argument.
It immediately sounds fishy as soon as somebody mentions Bill Gates.
Only statements that it's true. No evidence. Show me the evidence.
Because I've only heard that as well. So,
Slim, what are you eating there?
Yeah, I don't know what the source of that was that I heard it from. So,
yeah, see, exactly. And the same thing with the patent discussion. I have seen no evidence of that either.
Oh my God!
No, that's not true, because even Biden has made statements about trying to get the companies to release their patents so that other countries could produce it.
And that's why China made America look bad. And they're like, we're going to give COVID vaccines to the entire northern half of Africa. We're like, they bypass, because they don't have the same laws as us. So it's not that they're not vaxxed. It's politics as usual, because people hate black people. So it's just
regardless of why people are or are not getting vaxxed, as long as there are millions upon millions upon millions of people who are not vaxxed in another continent, COVID is going to be a problem over the entire globe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and with the number of Americans who are unvaxxed, it's a problem because we are such a mobile people. We're flying to other countries so often.
Yeah, and we still have a large amount of people that are not vaxxed here. Where I live, they're lying about the numbers, because I know a lot of people that are still not vaxxed. My cousin, his family walked in this house last Sunday. His daughter has never had a vaccination. You know what? I don't judge. That's you do you live your life. My son got sick. He went back and hung out with his mom because it's the holidays. Got everyone at mom's house sick. Came back here and got me sick off of one little girl who's never had a vaccination. I don't know how to put it more simple.
Not any vaccination? That's crazy.
My cousin's a crazy evangelical Christian. And in my family, we'll talk about you, but we'll respect your life choices.
Okay, Jenny, I don't know if you can see the StreamYard private chat. But, Sinister Porpoise dropped a link about the Bill Gates thing.
I got to go to the loo.
Yeah, there are plenty of legitimate reasons to dislike Bill Gates, but not because he's microchipping you with 5G chips in your vaccine. The thing he
Yeah.
did about the... Oh, great, I'm can't.
I have to leave the
Well,
stream if I want to see any of this, and I'm not going to do
Yeah.
that right now.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But he very
Here,
much
I'll
did...
I'll send the links to you on Twitter so you can look at them when you get a chance.
He very much did prevent Oxford from open sourcing the manufacturing of the vaccine. Now, there might have been good reasons to do this. Some people think there is. Most of them aren't really understanding how open source works. But also keep in mind, Bill Gates has a history of deliberately undermining the nascent open source movements in order to make his own money. Steve Jobs does too. He actively betrayed hacker culture.
Steve Jobs has been dead for 10 years.
Doesn't matter. This happened a long time ago. Look up Bill Gates's and Steve Jobs' history. This was back in the late 70s, early 80s. In order so that they can make their profits at Apple and Microsoft.
Yeah, I'll also have to look at those links after the stream's over. If I read them now, I'm going to totally lose track of everything going on in here.
Me too, so I'm on a mobile device, so...
I'm on my phone. I can only do one thing at once.
Yep.
So that's
Yeah,
nice.
Jenny, I sent you the links on Twitter so you can look at them later.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But yeah, so honestly, Florida is a shit show right now. So not only did our governor go totally pro-COVID and has limited by law what restrictions cities can put on their populace as we are experiencing our largest COVID surge ever, but he's been missing for 2 weeks. He's actually posting pictures he took 12 days ago as if they just happened to make it look like he's still out and about doing stuff. He's hiding because he has no answers for the shit show that is the fucking COVID pandemic in Florida right now. And I just had to go to Walmart earlier and I was double masked because, I'm sick, but I needed to get more medicine. And so I go and I'm masked up and everything. I'm using hand sanitizer, avoiding people. I'm doing my part to not spread my funk onto others. But you got these motherfuckers walking around with no mask, just coughing out into the air. Not even coughing into their hands, which is not as good as coughing into your elbow. They're just fucking coughing like it's they're a sprinkler, just spraying their fucking disease and plague all over the place. And I'm
hate that.
Yeah.
I fucking hate people.
I've been fully vaxxed since May, and I've still been wearing a mask anytime I'm out in public.
Oh, I wear a mask. I don't
even just in the building corridors, just when I'd go up to see Sloth Girl upstairs, I'd have the mask if I was around anybody else.
It's weird to me that people even have to have that conversation because around here, wearing a mask is just part of everyday life now.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, every store.
If I'm outside, when I'm walking, to my car after getting out of the store, I'll, depending on how humid it is, I might leave it on till I get to the car, might not, but your chances of catching COVID from somebody while outside and not standing right next to someone is very nil.
Well, if there aren't any people close by, I'll take it off when I come out of the store walking to the car.
I'll tell you, today I went to the pot shop, and when I got in the car, I was so excited to buy pot. I realized I still had my mask on. It's kind of part of life.
Didn't notice it till you tried to stick the cigarette in your mouth?
No, I don't smoke in my car anymore because it's a real DUI. So it's not worth getting caught. Because back in the day, they would kind of let you go, but now they're like, hey, if pot's legal, we're going to treat marijuana just like booze. And so you can't, if you're smoking and driving,
See, I think that's appropriate. And I think that, why that's not a problem with legalizing marijuana. Just apply all the laws they have to tobacco and alcohol to it, and it's covered. You don't really need any new legislation.
And let's be real, people can't drive here from the jump. So, I'm okay with someone's really, really high ass not being on the road.
One of the things I love, like I say, St. Cloud was my third choice city. This isn't where I expected to live, but I'm glad we landed here. And one of the things I'm really loving is that I can get virtually anywhere I need to without going on the highway.
I live in LA. You got to get on the highway to go almost anywhere
Yeah.
of importance.
All the shopping, the medical clinics, everything I need to do is within 5 miles of the building on city streets. This has just been so convenient. It's like, yeah, I didn't plan on being here, but this is working out so well.
What's Maya saying is California is like that too. But for as much as I'm saying, like I always say, it's not always rainbows and blowjobs here.
Yeah.
Whenever I go into Walmart or my local grocery store or Smart and Final, there's always someone who takes their mask off while they're in the store.
Yeah. Well,
always.
Here they made the mistake that even when there was the mask mandate, they allowed for medical and religious exemptions.
Oh, all of a sudden,
there should never be religious exemptions for anything. Religion is a fantasy world. It's a matter of philosophy.
There shouldn't be medical exemptions either, because even if you're an asthmatic, you can still wear a mask. Like
I do.
There's literally no reason to not wear a mask.
I will say that with my particular heart and lung issues, when I wear a mask, and I always do, when I wear a mask, it becomes very, very difficult for me to breathe, and I get to the point where I can walk 15 to 25 feet, and then I have to stop.
Yeah, I can understand for some
catch my
people
breath for several minutes, and then I can proceed again for another 15, 20, 30 feet.
Yep.
It's very, very difficult.
I
Now,
can understand for some people.
I consider my situation not that severe. I know there's people a lot worse than me. But I still wear my mask, but it does get difficult. It absolutely does. But that's because of my situation, not because it's all this crap that they're spouting, like, oh well, it gives more carbon dioxide, it makes you crazy. No, I'm a sick person, and that's why it's a problem.
Here in Fort Collins, it's pretty much 50-50. 50% of the people will wear a mask inside, 50 won't. But there's so many that you can't really do anything here. You just have to wear your mask and just go along with your day, because so many people don't, even though there's the sign out front that says it. The employees don't do anything anymore about it here.
Well, and you're leaving it up to minimum wage employees to enforce this shit.
And they don't want to die.
I can't blame them for not wanting to confront somebody who's obviously got a chip on their shoulder.
No one's going to say anything to
died.
Yep.
No, you don't understand. There have been people, minimum wage employees, that have told people, I'm sorry, you need to wear a mask. And these crazy motherfuckers have left, gone home and gotten guns and come back and shot the employees.
Yeah, exactly. And so
crazy times.
When we're here and we're at an establishment and 10 people walk in without a mask, you're like, well, can't really say nothing to them. I'm not going to get my ass kicked because I don't even work there. I'm just here. So you just have to duck your head and have your mask on. And the only thing that I feel safe about is that I'm vaccinated, and I'm going to get my booster shot on the 5th. So I'll have my 3rd shot. So I'm just hey, I guess if I get it, I won't hopefully die. But the problem is I have asthma. And so I don't know what it would do to me. And hopefully there is a hospital bed if I was to go, but at least I'm vaccinated.
I'm going to tell you, I hesitated for a while, and I'm a severe asthmatic, and it put me down, but it didn't do anything near as what the propaganda says, and I'm a hardcore, I can't breathe asthmatic.
Well, I can see what Jenny's saying, because my fiance was a severe asthmatic, so I do wonder, if she'd be able to actually walk around for very long with a mask.
I mean, it sucks.
My issue is not asthma. My issue is COPD and congestive heart failure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different issues, but I mean, just, people with certain breathing problems in general. Yeah, I can understand that a small percentage of the population has a legitimate medical reason.
Totally. But not the ones that are in the store yelling for the manager because they say they have a medical condition.
Yeah, if you've got the breath to scream at somebody, you can be wearing a mask.
Yeah, exactly.
When
Carinitis is not a recognized medical condition.
I was just about to say here, most people that are not wearing masks are Karens and Kens. And when my mom got breast cancer, she kind of developed this attitude of like, don't be a wuss. So if I'm sick or something, she'll tell me like, I had cancer and went through chemo. Don't be such a wussy, wear a mask. It's not that hard.
Around here, people are respecting shops or stores or whatever that have a sign that says you have to wear a mask in here. That people aren't fighting, the private business's choice.
Yeah, around here they don't really go by that. I would support what Maya's saying here, that people should be able to sue the public figures that are encouraging people not to wear a mask and not get vaccinated.
Can't we just do a most dangerous game scenario for Tucker Carlson?
I'm still fine with shipping all the anti-vaxxers to Gitmo, but I might be in the minority there.
I don't know if they'd all fit. Like, I think that we were saying is that we need to find like a state like Wyoming. Before
COVID started, I had a plan that we're going to build a refugee camp in Minnesota, so everybody who needs to can escape the southern states. And then after that, we quarantine Florida and Texas.
No, we gotta at least
Georgia,
back
Alabama, and Mississippi.
Austin is cool. Like, Austin is awesome. Like,
I've been there.
There's an Austin, Minnesota. They can move up here.
Austin is super gay too, but we need to stop letting sports figures speak their like Fox News propaganda on TV too.
Can we please platform Joe Rogan? Like, I mean, here's the thing: that fucker has blood on his hands. He goes around. He's encouraging people not to get vaccinated. He's like, hey, I had COVID. It was no big deal. We threw the kitchen sink in it. I got the monoclonal antibody treatment. It's like, yeah, and guess what, fucker? Because you discouraged people from getting the vaccines and touted the monoclonal antibody treatment, which not everybody can afford, first off, but second off, is not an infinite resource. There's they're running out. So people who are vaccinated or who are immunocompromised, and they couldn't get vaccinated, that need the monoclonal antibody treatment because they catch a really bad case of COVID, they're just gonna fucking die.
When we ship all these,
there are rural supply stores that are requiring proof of ownership of a horse before they'll let you have ivermectin.
When we ship all these jobs away, do they have to go to a place in our respective countries, isolated, or can we find like an island or something?
Oh, we do have Alaska.
Is it your whole country an island?
Yeah, well, the UK's got a lot of smaller islands they could use.
Still, send them to the Isle of Wight. That'd be no big loss.
So, little known to a few people, there's quite a few federal prisons that are off the coast of California. Quite a few. Yeah, they're federal and there's something else because they had a few terrorists there.
Hear me out. We have Alaska. We can just send them up there with little supplies right in the middle of Alaska, and the problem's solved.
There you go.
I'm okay with this because after a little while, they'll die off, turn to cannibalism. Then you just go in with daisy cutters, and then you can enjoy the nature again.
I always get confused about Alaska because, I'm really shit hot at geography. That's actually part of the USA, isn't it?
Yes. Even though it's connected to Canada.
And it's almost it's a lot larger than people think it is. Having been there, it's huge.
A massive state. It's a massive state.
Almost the size of. It's like, I don't know if half or just it's huge. It's huge.
Well,
half of America.
It is actually a myth that Texas is the biggest state. Alaska has more land area than Texas.
Alaska is unbelievably huge.
Well, Texas will be the largest state again after Alaska melts.
Yeah, but the cosplatriots would not fucking survive up in Alaska. I don't believe.
I think that's kind of the point. I think that's kind of the point, Kitty.
I know, and I love it. I'm okay with it.
Oh, let them go up there with their AR-15s. They wouldn't last a week. A week.
Yeah, this is basically the variant of my plan to send flat earthers on a cruise to Antarctica.
It was 67 degrees on Kodiak Island the other day.
Huh.
I like that plan, Sinister. I like that plan.
Well, I wanted to put Ken Hamm and all of his fans on his ark and send it out to sea. If it doesn't float, they just didn't have enough faith.
I
I
have no
think,
objection.
yeah, well, there is a reason why that thing is not actually in the water, and it's not even actually a boat. It's actually a facade of a boat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind
it's,
of the
it's
point. I think.
attached to 3 concrete towers to provide ventilation for it.
I must admit, I laughed about a year. It must have been about a year ago at that story that they were getting shitty with the insurance company because the Ark Encounter was trying to claim for flood damage. I had to laugh at that.
Well, and basically, the insurance company's claim was that you didn't build it properly in the first place, so we're not required to cover it.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly unmute myself to say ha 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 ha?
But
That whole project was
claimed it was an act of God.
That whole project was a shit show from the jump. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I forget the name of the film now, but it was a comedy film. I don't remember it still with Billy Connolly, where he loses I think his boat or something, and it's deemed an act of God by the insurance company, so he sues the church.
Oh, that sounds good.
It was quite funny.
Billy Connolly's
StreamYard is getting funky over here. I might get booted out any moment.
Oh, okay, you're getting flaky on you.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
So, here's something that I want everyone to think about. In the before times, prior to COVID, something that we did that we never thought twice about, but now would make every single one of us cringe. Happy birthday.
Huh?
Blowing out the candles on the cake.
I couldn't see, you were too small.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I'm sad because I don't think I'm ever going to go to a festival again with 20,000 people walking around at a concert sweaty on a summer day. Like, I don't, yeah. No one's spitting on my cake ever again.
There's no, let's just say, let's just say mosh pits are not an area I'm really keen to get into right now.
Exactly. Do you know, I would like get into fist fights and then hug the guy after in a Slayer pit, I would never do that now,
Oh, crikey. Yeah, I gotta say, I got in a pit at a Slayer gig once, so yeah, that was pretty intense.
Oh, they call it sorry, Kitty.
No, go ahead.
They call it the pits of hell for a reason.
Yeah.
But no, I was saying I've decided, like, going forward, during flu season, I will be wearing a mask. Even once, COVID has become like a thing that isn't like so predominant in our everyday lives. And when it comes to birthday parties for my son, I will have a cake and I will have a cupcake to put the candles on, so that when he goes to blow out the candles, it will be on his own little cupcake with the candles and not on everybody else's cake. Like, my germaphobe ass got ideas because COVID put things into perspective for me.
Oh, and shaking hands. I don't have to awkwardly shake hands with wannabe tough guys anymore. So that's going to be awesome.
Oh, I always hated shaking hands.
I'll give the wave. Yeah, you always get that one person who tries to break your hand, It's so dumb.
Yeah. It's like everybody is so anxious to get back to normal. I was never big on normal to begin with.
The only change I plan to make for myself is that from here on, as each flu season comes around, I plan to wear a mask.
Exactly.
Same here. I normally get strep throat every year. Wasn't a problem last year. I didn't get anything, no flu or anything last year when most people were wearing masks.
Same here. And I get sick just looking at people. Same here.
Well, I do too, but it's usually sick to my stomach, and it's only certain people.
Yeah.
So, if you guys want to have a fun time, go onto Amazon's website and look at the reviews, the 1-star reviews for Yankee candles. Because right now, a lot of people are getting really angry that Yankee candles don't have any smell. And if you actually
Yeah.
track the graphing of when they got those 1-star reviews and when there are spikes in COVID cases, they match. Like someone actually
Oh
marked
yeah,
them
yeah,
out.
yeah. I heard about
That's
this.
hilarious.
And
Oh,
so, like, I
wow.
can tell I don't have COVID because I can still smell. This is my favorite Yankee candle, Midsummer's Night. It's black because, of course, it is. Like, I mean, be still my little black heart, and it smells so good.
Well,
I
and that's
wouldn't
part of
expect
Puffy, I can still
any,
smell it.
Kitty, I would not expect any other color candle from you, honestly.
I mean, I am a goth chick at heart, through and through. I even got a little black dress to wear for New Year's Eve, but now I can't wear it
See,
because I'm sick.
I'm not. I've never really been a goth, despite my avatar, which makes me look like I was a goth. But
I get called gothic because I wear black every day. It's just my favorite color.
I mean, black is my #1 nail color. I've got red now, but only because it's Jack Skellington.
I'm only a little goth.
You know, there's a actually pre-COVID I used to go to a goth club, and like they didn't care that I wasn't dressed like them. They let me walk right in with my patches on and everything. I'd have a good old time.
I was going to say there's one thing that South Park I think really gets well, you want to start a fight like in a sort of goth club, just sort of call some of them emos.
Oh, that'll start a fist fight.
Yeah.
Well, isn't emo just goth light?
It's the young generation of goth, pretty much is what it is. You know.
Has anyone seen the new South Park that's out? When they're all
I haven't watched
yeah.
They're all just punks that couldn't handle real music.
It's an interesting watch. I don't promote much, but I have Paramount Plus because I'm obsessed with Star Trek, and the new South Parks they're hilarious, and they treat Alexa, thank you, like an actual person, and it's crazy. It's quite funny because they repeatedly say, "Oh, we're in the future, and the future sucks," and it's literally with like today's technology.
I had a temporal concern today. I was at the store and I was at the cashier, and Jethro Tull is playing over the speakers. And I go, "Oh, Jethro Tull, I haven't heard this in quite a while." And she looks at me and she says, "Yeah, I like some of this 90s music too."
See, I would have been like, "F you, give me my receipt right now." Where's your manager?
I happen to know her, so I wasn't going to be too terribly rude, but I just said, "Margie, this is from the 60s." Oh, really?
When they played Nirvana on the oldies station out here, I screamed so loud that the person in the car next to me showed concern. Because I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, I freaked out. Hey, will you hand me the black vest that I ordered from Amazon? I want to show them my bad decisions.
Okay,
No,
so
the black vest.
I just looked it up. This candle, my favorite candle from Yankee Candle, it's black. It's called Midsummer's Night, and it's a blend of musk, patchouli, sage, and mahogany cologne. It is this really it is like one of my all-time favorite scents ever. If you're ever in a shop and you see Yankee Candle, pick up a little one and just smell it, and like that is usually what my house smells like. Because I fucking love this scent.
Heat Shield, I feel your I don't feel your pain because I refuse to have an Alexa in my house. But
and if you see any of Gwyneth Paltrow candles, don't pick them up and smell them.
Ew.
I have no interest in having anything voice controlled in my house. Among other things, I have Tourette's, and I'm afraid what it might do when I start ticking.
It does turn on at random times, and that's why I say the A word.
Well, I mean, if I'm just spewing out random words without even realizing I'm doing it, what is this thing going to start doing?
Well, it's doing to collect data on you.
Well, of course. And the one annoying thing is, though, I can't watch anything that says the A word because I have like old JBL speakers in this room. So when I'm watching something online, it's really loud. If it says the A word, mine turns on. And there was one time I was in the bathroom and I was in a helpless position. And all of a sudden I heard "Who let the dogs out?" And it wasn't stopping. And I was like, what's going on? Is there someone in my house? No, someone said A word, play "Who Let the Dogs Out," and it just played the song.
You guys all do know that you can, as far as I understand it, I don't own one myself, but I understand that you can change that name or word or whatever you want to use to cue it in. It doesn't have to be Alexa.
Well, I also remember like there was this one, and I apologize earlier. I meant to turn my camera off while finishing up my popcorn because popcorn was just a quick snack. And
That's no problem. People eating on stream all the time here.
Yeah, but I prefer not to eat on stream.
I prefer
for
when
obvious
people
reasons.
do. But that's just me.
But it was a Twitter thread of tell me that you work in tech without telling me you work in tech. And one of the things was like, I want a dumb refrigerator, please. Or can I get a toaster that doesn't have Wi-Fi?
A toaster with what? That's not real, is it?
And
Someone
like
has
I'm looking for a new fridge, and the guy at Lowe's literally asked me, do you want it with or without Wi-Fi?
Holy fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
I
Interesting.
remember when it was a big deal to have a freezer that would automatically defrost.
Yep.
Or make ice.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, that was one of my jobs as a kid was having to defrost the freezer from time to time.
I mean, it's bad enough for
I
cell phones
actually
track
had
us.
a freezer that you still had to defrost in the early 90s.
We did too until all the energy efficient fridges came out. Because I always grew up in a house that had a freezer or a fridge in the garage to hide booze and meat.
I wouldn't mind having one with a tablet on it that would just maybe let me keep track of what I have in there.
I kind of think that's pointless technology. Like, I got this weird thing for Isaiah, this weird survival kit, and it came with man soap. And on Christmas, I'm like, what is the effing point of gendering soap, you know?
Well, it's so you can start the blue tax. You know how the pink tax works, right? I swear that's the only point for
I'm going to go grab it. And it came with a man candle. Can anyone explain to me? And it actually smells nice. It's not very manly. Has a gang of lavender in it. It smells lovely.
Yeah, that's a bit mad to be a man candle.
Candles that set with scents that are more likely to appeal to men, I can see because it's typically a female market. I mean, things like steak, new car smell.
Don't leave the man candle and the Gwyneth candle alone together.
Oh, no.
Every time.
I don't need to be man.
Every time
Oh, God. Well, what happens if you do that? You get birthday candles.
You don't need to market them as man candles. You just.
Every time I think of Gwyneth Paltrow, she just smells like shit to me now. Every time I think of Gwyneth Paltrow, she just smells bad. Every time she literally. Sorry, she sells a stone that you can put up your hoo-ha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like 120
I
bucks
wanted
or
to
something.
give up the first time I saw a defriginator with a television in it. It was like, what the hell is going on now?
Yeah.
See, kids, if you move to California, when you get older, you're going to start selling holistic, weird stuff and putting rocks up your hoo-ha.
Well,
Stay out of California.
No.
Listen, those royalties from Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow weren't going to last forever.
I was actually about to say, who the hell would want to buy something like that? And I just remembered. Oh yeah, we had a guy in our country who stuck a flare up his arse a few months ago, and it was all over the news. So, yeah.
People, it scares me that someone like Gwyneth Paltrow will put their name on a product, put their woo-woo behind it, and people believe this BS because they like her in a movie. You know, I loved Will Smith when I was a kid. I think he's a complete whack job. I'll still go see a movie if he's in it. I think he's insane now, but
well, that's the problem. Is these people think an actor, actress has clout, or actually is a scientist or is smart for some reason because they know how to cry on cue. What that doesn't mean that you understand the way that the universe works at all.
Totally. Worst thing that ever happened to Will Smith was YouTube, because he went on it and we saw that he was like wacky in real life.
Yeah.
That's my guy, but he's wacky.
Well, he I think he got very dangerously close to getting in with the Scientology lot at one time as well. I don't know if he ever joined though, but he did. He was flirting with them for a while.
Okay, so take it for what you want. His wife is heavily involved in the Church of Scientology on the Hollywood side.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Will Smith. His wife is a church. Yeah.
They created or funded whatever a school. This would be back in 2007, and it came to light that this school was teaching the Hubbard way.
Dianetics.
Yeah.
That's never a good thing.
It was a program called, I think it was called Advanced Scholastics or something like that. It was this like so-called educational thing, but no, they were essentially, it was trying to get young people into Scientology is what it was doing.
In LA, now I've only seen Jada campaign. I've never seen Will Smith campaign for the Church of Scientology, but out here, Jada Smith isn't like, she's an advocate for the Church of Scientology, just like Christy Alley, absolute advocate for it. Just she'll go tooth and nail and fight you on the news, you know.
She won't block me. I must not be important.
Keep trying goals.
I've been trying to get.
I got to admit,
and I can't get him to block me. I'm really disappointed in myself.
Who's that?
Ken Hovind. I want to be blocked by Ken
Hovind.
Oh, he's
blocked me.
Turd. He's such a turd.
Okay, let's just watch the cute kitty for a while.
I don't want to see any cat's asshole.
No, this one wasn't showing her ass. She was actually sitting there facing the camera.
No,
was
the camera's being moved, so it was facing her.
To be honest, though, as I said, my ambition was never so much to get blocked by Kent Hovind on Twitter. My goal is to one day be on Whack an Atheist. That will make my life complete.
Yes, for sure. That would be awesome.
Well, I've said that the only original goal I have for my channel that I haven't managed yet is I need to irritate Ken Hamm more. Because Paul G has said that anyone that Ken Hamm calls out on the air can get a guest spot on his show.
Well, I've discovered that Hamm has not blocked me on Facebook, so I'm going to have a fun year.
Yeah, me too. I'm seeing posts from him.
I'm wondering how long it'll be before Ken Hamm actually calls out Godless Granny, because she is always posting some absolute zingers every time Answers in Genesis posts anything. The only reason I follow Answers in Genesis is to see Granny's little zingers she sends at them. They're fantastic.
Apparently, Ken Hovind has really got a hard-on for Emma.
Oh yes, massive.
Yeah, she did something where she called him out, and
they're having a bit of a
gone nuts.
I'd say there's two sort of people. Kent Hovind, he does not like the British for some reason, because he's there's been a number of he's tried to goad Simon Dan for blooming like 2 years now, and then Conspiracy Cats is another one that he's regular. But then if you remember, Katz and Hovind had a debate, and Katz messed him up badly.
Well,
I'm not prepared for that.
But
Yeah,
of course,
Holy Spackle was asking,
Yeah.
and I wasn't sure either. Who's Emma?
Emma Thorne.
yeah,
Yeah,
She read.
I
Thorne.
wrote again in my efforts to try and get them to ban me or block me. I
Okay,
wrote
Emma Thorne
the
still doesn't
nasty-
help. I don't know who this is.
the funniest one is he released a response video about the burden of proof to her the other day, and it had no sound on it.
What were you saying, Jenny?
To the edge.
No, it doesn't matter now.
Well,
I have
Corpus
no-
was trying to tell me who Emma Thorne was.
Yeah, I was about to say I have no idea who Emma Thorne
As
is.
far, well, I don't really know much of who she is either, but she read Kent Hovind's doctoral dissertation, which, to be fair, if he was submitting it to creative writing class as a doctoral dissertation, trying to sound like a creationist who had no idea what they're talking about and couldn't write a doctoral dissertation, should earn him a doctorate on that basis.
Yeah, I think it would have flunked a middle school English test.
Yeah, unless it was that particular scenario. I mean, if he was trying to do that, that's literary genius, but he was trying to pass it off. He was trying to be taken seriously with it. And of course, because Kent doesn't understand that "hello, my name is Kent Hovind" is not the way you start a doctoral dissertation.
That's a brilliant piece of work.
Oh, I agree. It's a literary masterpiece, but not for the reasons Kent thinks it is.
Yeah.
There is a special humor to self-parody.
I always said that there's you know Kent Hovind's doctoral thesis is legit when it's posted, when it's actually available on that great scientific journal that's called WikiLeaks. So yeah,
I'll be right back.
That's right.
That whole crowd is just a point and laugh at. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kent Hovind isn't to be taken seriously. Kent Hovind probably will be going to jail soon because I don't think a judge is going to accept his domestic violence appeal.
That's
Oh,
what I'm
wait a
saying.
minute.
The most
Wasn't he
pious.
putting the Hootscow already for that?
Why are they always wife beaters? That's just disgusting.
Fucking wife beaters.
Why?
You know how the misogynistic the evangelicals are.
But there's almost like a stereotype. They're either extremely hate-filled towards the LGBTQIA++ community, and they are a part of it, or they're saying "love thy neighbor" and beating everyone around them. You know, it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off.
This is where I was going to go with the Kent thing and Emmett. Like I said, there's two. Not only does he not like the Brits, but we also Kent is a real misogynist, and he definitely feels threatened when it's like a very intelligent woman that's taken into, because I don't know if people could cast your minds back about 2.5 years ago. Rachel Oates read out Kent Hovind's doctorate and everything that was wrong with it. Kent lost his shit with Rachel Oates, went after her for months, even throwing his he even decided to kick Rachel while she was down when that whole situation happened with someone whose name I don't want to mention, but that person.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he got into the thing with Rachel Oates. There was no call for him to make any comment there.
No, he hates her. He actually hates her.
He loathes Rachel Oates, and I think Emma Thorne's now taken that same place in Kent's mind.
As somebody that saw the video that she posted of her in crisis, I actually physically saw it with my own eyes. Like, I will never forgive that person for putting Rachel through that, because I saw with my own eyes.
I saw that video as well, and that was
okay. But I want to bring
it's not word strong enough, honestly.
I want to bring something to attention, and I don't care if it gets me canceled. That person is still doing that to this very day to other people we've never heard of. You know what I'm saying? Like
Since I
they
thought it was
go,
a fucking bully.
And the thing is that
Yes,
I'm
it's
very
just
sad is I lost what I thought was a friend over that whole thing with the he who shall not be named in racial oats.
I watch a really. Sorry, Diane. Sorry.
Yeah, it's when I came out and said I stand with Rachel, then the Iowans said go fuck yourself.
I watch a really rando channel of a trans woman that's in the UK. She lives in Wales. It's just she's more into sewing and anime, and I watch it more for the sewing content.
Of course you do, Will.
She got into it she said something to Posey Parker something and got into it with EOT. EOT went on her channel and was like telling her what to do. Take this down or I'm going to harass you. The next video, she's like, I'm going to get rid of my YouTube channel because EOT is harassing me. And I went on there and was like, don't ever let me find you. But of course, my comment didn't go through. Like, EOT is harassing people right now. Now.
I don't like the fact that, you can have somebody say things that are, distasteful or ignorant or even mean. That's not the same as like a hate crime, though. I mean, Rationality Rules' video about, trans women in sports was garbage. Like, I think we can all agree it was garbage. I don't consider it a hate crime, though. It was poorly researched and it was bad. It was bad.
He was not adequately informed on the subject.
On quite a few subjects.
It's not him calling for actual violence against trans people, though, and that's the narrative that EOT was running with. That basically, Rachel Oates, because she wasn't denouncing Woodford, Rationality Rules, that basically his video was him calling for violence against trans people, and her not denouncing him was her agreeing with violence against trans people. And here's the thing: even if I argued that he was transphobic for not wanting trans women to compete in sports, that's not violence against trans people. I'm sorry, like competing in sport, or not, I don't see that as actual violence. To me, violence is actual violence.
And you can't weaponize victimhood. You can't say, "Oh, I'm this. I represent." Sorry.
There's an issue here that I think everyone's missing, and it's kind of important. And it has to do with multiple definitions of the word violence and in context. Essence of Thought was using the correct definition of the word violence in an academic context. His mistake was he wasn't talking to an academic audience.
Mm-hmm. It's like Steve McRae and the whole debacle about
that never ending
That's not even the same thing, thank goodness.
It's not. No, it's not. But let's not get into that one.
I had actually never had anybody block me on Twitter before the EOT thing. I lost a few friends in that too.
Honestly, if you get into some dramas, it's just easier to start blocking people en masse.
I went to the school of Steve Shives. Block everybody, let the algorithm sort it out later.
Okay, everybody, I need to take off because I'm going to go to bed because I got to go into work for just a couple hours tomorrow to finish some stuff before we do the whole New Year's Eve thingy, Mavabra stuff on other streams.
Yep.
So thank you all. We'll see you.
Okay, so take care.
See ya.
Yep. Bye.
The problem with EOT's argument was that they were constantly weaponizing what they construed as violence, where I'm from, I know, but where I'm from, like, words are words. Like, if someone throws a brick at me, that's violent. If they say I'm going to throw a brick at you, I would laugh at them.
Yeah,
and not consider it violent.
The issue is he forgot who his audience was.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Rationality Rules' video was terrible.
Oh, it absolutely.
I agree.
It was awful. I think we all agree on that, I think.
And for the record, I'm a fan of no one we're talking about, except for Maddie. I still will stand. I apologize.
It's one of those things. Like when you're when you're talking to the general public, like in the common vernacular, calling for violence against people, it has a very specific definition that is evoked. And
Yeah.
sure, semantically speaking, you might be able to argue that, academically, yeah, like they were using it correctly, but as you said, they weren't speaking to an academic audience. This isn't an academic paper. They are talking to the general public
On YouTube.
and on YouTube. And I think that it's incredibly dangerous because when you say, oh, well, someone making a shitty video with a shitty take is calling for violence when they never actually called for actual violence, like it just waters down like those phrases. It waters down that so that when someone actually is calling for violence, people tend to get desensitized to
Yep.
it.
Exactly.
I think the biggest thing that everybody's not mentioning that I'm going to and get myself in trouble is EOT's issue is that they're pretty much just a big old Karen, and they are just absolutely ripe to pick out any little nitpicky thing that they want and turn it into this great generational war or reinterpretation of language or culture to suit their own needs and desires. They're just a big fucking Karen.
I mean, that drumming up outrage for clicks and victimhood for attention and clicks, like that's really what it seems like. It seems like they will just find whatever little thing they can and blow it up as much as they can for the attention, good or bad.
There's a name for that. It's cry bully.
Actually,
that is
definition of a cry bully. Definition.
That's not quite the impression I got. I think it was rage that went too far.
Well, recently I saw them go after a YouTuber that has just as many subscribers as I do and is a very niche person, and like it's just pointless. I don't know. I've had enemies, blah blah blah, but it's just fighting with people on the internet is pointless. It's just pointless in the end, So constantly going after people, that's a personality. That's a character flaw.
And it does seem like they punch down a lot. I mean, but that's just, my opinion.
True. If I'm going to fight someone, I want them to at least be in my weight class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Will, here's a question for you. Will, since we're good at repurposing everything, here's a question for you.
Okay.
I bought one of Maddie's t-shirts before the whole EOT thing started. And now I've got no idea what to do with it. I certainly don't want to wear it anymore.
What does it say on it?
It's the one with the scarecrow, it's saying, hello heathens or whatever.
Yeah, cut out those too.
Cut out the heathens, put it on the side of a coat, and cut out the scarecrow. I liked that design. I liked everybody's old designs, but that's right when I started watching YouTube 3 years ago, when everyone got along.
Who's this Maddie?
Godless Island.
Objectively subjective now, I think.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Kitty.
Now it's subjectively subjective, but originally was the Godless Iowan. At least that's before they came out as trans. I knew them as Godless Iowan, and they were kind of in Godless Engineered circle, and that's how I first encountered them. And
I never.
That's Snarky's his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I never unsubbed. They've always been kind to me.
I actually did a collab with Miss Snarky before that, and she was the first one to ever block me because she didn't like my comments about the rationality rules EOT thing.
And I miss Sosh. I need to reach out and quit hiding in my hole.
I think I got bot blocked because I was still following Rachel and rationality rules. The thing is I follow people on Twitter, even if I disagree with them, because I like to keep tabs on the things that are going on.
Me
just
too.
Because I follow someone doesn't mean that I support them.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that aren't mature enough to understand that concept.
I mean, I refuse to give a follow to Donald Trump, but that's just because I'm petty and I won't give him even one more follower for his ego. But
I follow Kent Hovind.
Like, I mean, I'm not a fan of Obama. Like, he was okay, but like he's
Oh, I
whatever. But
stand.
I followed Obama. I follow Michelle Obama. I follow fucking Oprah. You know, like there are tons of people that I don't like or dislike. I just follow them because I'm curious. They might, say or do something I might find interesting.
That's
Do
like
you
me with
follow
young
Dr.
Earth group.
Phil?
Hell no.
No, but he creeps me the fuck out. Like,
Dr.
no,
Phil sends
I've seen
children.
videos about him. Like, he is
Yeah.
bad news bears.
I know.
There we
You
go.
know, a lot of people won't like this person, but watch Bad Barbie Cash Me Outside. Watch an interview with her. She talks about that, like, Last Stop Ranch or wherever they sent her. They put you out in the desert and torture you. They, like, Dr. Phil was co-signing on places that are torturing children. And regardless of how you feel about someone, depriving a person of food and dignity is not okay. Just because they're a bad kid. Just because I'm sorry. I was a bad kid. Some people clean up. Some people go to jail. That's
There's
just
some
how
people I wouldn't mind depriving of food and dignity. Mostly chomos, grapists.
But you,
and-
okay, but you don't treat children like chomos, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't
Yeah,
treat children
no,
like
obviously
Dr.
not.
Phil.
Obviously not.
And
Like, I'm
Dr.
just saying, there's
Phil,
some people that I would not lose any sleep if they were, just tossed out in the desert and left to fend for themselves.
Dr.
Children
Phil's a
are not in that
scumbag.
group.
And we know some of them are anti-vaxxers because she went along with my Alaska plan.
Yeah, no, anti-vaxxers can get fucked. I don't care.
Even though I know that would be a bad thing to do.
Like, feed them to the wolves in Alaska, build back up their population.
Well, it's propaganda works too. I didn't get vaxxed for a while because I was scared, and my doctor was like, "Come here, dummy. Come here. Let me
I'm
educate
worried.
you."
Like, my niece is severely asthmatic, and she has uncontrolled asthma. And her idiot father won't let her get vaccinated. And because of the
Wow.
custody agreement, they have to both sign off on medical decisions.
How old is she?
11.
Oh, God.
And
Yeah.
so I am terrified.
And that's
of
my
her
biggest
getting it.
complaint about the anti-vaxxers is, how many kids haven't been vaccinated and they're killing off the kids.
That's
My
what's
son is
actually
vaccinated.
Somebody should call CPS on the parents.
Well, see what happens in a
As long as
place
it's
like
not
My sister wants to get her vaccinated, but she can't because of the custody agreement. Like,
Okay,
any medical
Jenny.
decision needs to be done through both parents, and if she does, like, it could, he could take her to court, and there could be penalties for going against the custody.
Yeah, she could lose custody for that.
where I live, in the local high school and junior high, 50 to 60% of the kids are not vaccinated, and these are in the richie schools. What do you do when everybody isn't doing it? That's my question.
Yeah, but if the kid wants the vax and one of the parents wants the vax, then the other parent is just being an asshole. And
he absolutely is
somebody
an
should get a
asshole.
hold of CPS. You do it legally and have them take a look at the situation.
Where I live, that person would be court ordered to get their kid vaxxed. But I live in lefty land.
Florida.
Personally,
Yeah, I live.
Personally,
Yeah.
I think even in the red states, they're going to have to start, at least for a while, mandating vaccinations as soon as they get down to the lower levels.
Oh, they'll never do that. The red states never.
Yeah,
They're
Florida
not going to
won't.
do it, and that's why we're never going to get this under control.
The local school districts have mask mandates in this state.
Gee, and I can
Governor
remember
Monday.
I can remember a certain co-host who would give me a hard time when I said that we were going to be having problems with the pandemic for 5 years. Yeah,
Yep.
we're never going to be out of it, as you say, hon.
I say that all the time because I go in public. When I go in Los Angeles, when I go to the heart of LA, everyone's wearing a mask. How come some of the most impoverished people in LA can get it? People who don't speak English, and I'm talking about pick a country, they're all wearing a mask. You come to the suburbs and people are like, it's my body, my choice. They're not wearing masks. They're coughing on each other, getting in fist fights. It's ridiculous in the suburbs.
It's even worse than that here in Florida. Like, I wasn't kidding. Ron DeSantis, our governor, actually put through legislation limiting what states what the cities and the counties can actually do. He basically made it illegal for them to do their own mask mandates in the cities.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Republicans love to scream local control until the local actually does state control, and then they want to stop it.
I was about to say, because I saw on some rando news feed somewhere in Florida how this one, I don't know if it's Jacksonville or something, they were like, they started testing people because they were like, well, if the state's not going to do it, we need to do it, you know? And they're bringing testing back because the numbers are jumping.
Yeah, we're having a huge spike right now. And honestly, COVID has just been ripping through Florida like at an alarming rate, even before Omicron was, on the scene. And
well, Omicron has made it happen even faster. The entire country is in a gigantic surge. There isn't a major hospital anywhere that has open beds.
All right, Mark, I'm going to address your point because technology is kind of my thing, and I'm not above making terrible jokes. Problem is, I think you were thinking 5G cell phone signal. It's actually 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So make sure your 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal in your house is improved.
Yeah,
if you have wireless setup.
Ever since I've gotten vaccinated, I'm always afraid of going in the kitchen because I might get stuck to the fridge and not be able to reach my phone to call for help.
Ever since I got back on Facebook, those 5G jokes are right up there with seeing Minions. I've heard them all.
So dumb. These people are so worried about.
I have to admit. So, go on, Katie. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's fine. Go ahead, Jeff.
Really quick.
Sorry,
the Los Angeles Kings just beat the Vancouver Canucks. Up yours, Vancouver, for this evening.
Yeah, cricket.
Be sure to ask those 5G people what their favorite variant of the attack helicopter joke is, because I love that one. Haven't heard that one before.
I live around and hang out with senior citizens, so I've heard every 5G joke because they were the first people to get vaxxed, and they're front line for all the for all the boosters.
This really pisses me off because I took all the precautions I could and I've still got it. And before COVID, I actually believed that I had a good chance of living past 100. But, I've read all the stuff about even people who were asymptomatic coming up with scarring on the heart and lungs. So, I'm wondering if this is going to take a decade off my life.
I know someone who worked out every day who was the real life Marjorie Green Taylor, and she got it twice, and it has aged her. It has aged her. Like she'll admit it.
You had your 2 vaccinations. You didn't have the booster yet, but you had the 2.
Right.
And you got COVID, and you're
well.
Up
I had the 2, but it was
hold on. Let me finish. And
okay.
You're up and around, walking around, and talking on the show. You do not have a serious case of COVID. You have a very light case.
Right, but like I say, they have found people who never had symptoms who still had scarring on the heart and lungs from it.
Yeah, and there's other issues that they're finding with people, whether they had severe symptoms or not, and right now they're still doing studies on it, but they found that it has actually had issues with the mind as well, like increasing depression or I think it might have been dementia.
Yeah, they are saying that there's a possibility it could contribute to early dementia.
But what I was going to say to Will's point, I had a friend that she was my age. She is 35, and she actually 34. She's a year younger than me. Super active, like surfer, rock climber, like a hardcore like sports girl, and she got COVID and she gets winded. Like even she got COVID last year, and even now she still gets winded just walking to her mailbox. Like it destroyed her fucking lungs.
Oh yeah,
and she was healthy.
And it's really
going back. Sorry, I wanted to go back to the thing I was saying before when Jeff and I kept starting at the same time. All the people that are complaining about, the 5G, it's like, first off, we don't have the technology for the batteries for a tracker chip like small enough or long lasting enough to put in a vaccine needle. And they're posting those memes on their fucking cell phones, which actually is tracking their every fucking movement.
Well, unless they have a flip phone or something.
If they're on Facebook and they're posting it from their phone, then they definitely are being tracked.
I was going to say, and I'll hold my hand up. I fell for this hook, line, and sinker because you know how sometimes it gets so difficult to know who's having a joke and who's actually serious with some of the stupid that's out there.
Oh
But
yeah, I've been caught by some of the parody.
Someone put this post up about that their nephew got vaccinated and then like 2 weeks later come out as gay. That the vaccine turned him gay. So I jokingly retweeted it with the comment, "Hey, AstraZeneca or Pfizer says how come I haven't turned gay? Why haven't I been getting the good shit?" And then this parody account kind of tweeted a couple of times and there's some really stupid things. So I sort of interacted with it, and then about the third one, I'm like, okay, well played, you're a po, you got me, well played, you know. It was like, okay, you got me. So
Well, the best pose, you can't tell they're a po.
Yeah.
Which is why I think G-Man would be an excellent po.
I ran into this young woman on Twitter today who is I don't know what setting she was, but she's got this picture and stuff, and she's filing her complaint in the cloud about just give up this COVID thing and blah blah blah, and don't let the tyranny and all that, the usual crap. And I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to write her back, and I said, look, you have your will all written up. and I just COVID doesn't discriminate and all this other kind of stuff, and
my
I had to say something.
She said on multiple occasions that because she's extremely right wing, and she said on multiple occasions that getting COVID, she felt like she was lied to. And this is the same person who told me that I should take that. I still can't. I think of metachlorians in Star Wars. What's it called?
Midichlorians?
No, that horse dewormer.
Ivermectin.
It shocks me that grown adults who are functioning human beings who have say in our society are trying to take horse dewormers and still wearing their stupid red hats.
Well,
it trips me out.
As they'll point out, ivermectin is used in humans, and it is.
It is.
But it's a broad spectrum antiparasitic that works on things that have a central nervous system, which viruses don't.
Yeah, they use it for things like tapeworms.
You know what? I used to put mane and tail in my fro because it was good for my hair, but it doesn't mean I was drinking the stuff,
And I've used udder cream on myself too. That's a cow thing, and it's for moisturizer and stuff, and it works great. But it's we're not talking about bacteria here.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I may have misheard there, but did you just say you used to put mantail in your throat?
Mane and tail. They used to sell it at Walmart. It's horse shampoo.
Yeah, Mane and Tail is a brand of care products that was originally developed for grooming horses, but they're selling it for people now.
Now you use that stuff, Will. Will, you use that stuff on yourself? I just want to point out, you are bald.
This was a long.
This is
a long.
Jenny, I was gonna go there.
I know it wasn't. Look what it's done.
True and true. The math is still out on aerosol deodorant. I use that forever. So if I get some weird cancer from it, I'll be the first one to be on the commercial.
Honestly, if you get some weird cancer, it's from probably just breathing in the air of California.
So true story. When I moved from downtown LA to Oregon, I probably added 5 years on my life. I didn't get sick the entire time I lived in the state of Oregon, and I caught pneumonia like I think 9 times when I lived in the heart of LA. I mean, like the stereotype LA. LA is dirty. The air's dirty. Don't move here.
Why would I
I
move there?
fucking hate being sick. Like whenever I don't like honestly with my condition, like just my RSD, it takes a lot out of me, and so whenever I get sick, it takes a lot out of me. Like it is exhausting. But forgot to heat up the shower because another byproduct of my condition is when I go to take a shower, I have to use the space heater to heat the bathroom because stepping out of the warm water into the room temperature air feels like I'm being sliced by knives. So I have to have the air outside nice and warm until I can dry off. Forgot to heat up the shower, and I need a shower before bed tonight. I feel all gross and sick. So I have to wait for it to heat up, and that's why when I saw you were streaming, I was like, yeah, fine, I'll pop on for an hour or 2 while I wait for the bathroom to warm up.
No, that wasn't.
I have to do a space heater in my bathroom too, but that's not because of a personal condition. It's that I have to get the ice out of the shower before I can actually use it. So
Yeah, you got kind of an old drafty house there.
Yikes.
RSD is reflex sympathetic dystrophy.
Yes.
That renamed chronic regional pain syndrome. Or...
Mm-hmm. It's only 65 degrees here right now.
Lucky you.
So,
Alexa, what's
Right,
the
that
temperature
was
right
you,
now?
Athena. Sorry.
But that's actually about normal for winter in Florida is, 60. It's a little warmer than normal.
Will?
Usually be, in the lower 60s by this time at this late at night. It was up to like almost 80 degrees yesterday, I think.
Oh my gosh, I'm jealous. What's that, Jenny?
Could you ask Alexa what the temperature in Black River Falls, Wisconsin is?
Alexa, what's the temperature in Black River Falls, Wisconsin right now?
Right now, in River Falls, Wisconsin, it's 22 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, you beat me. It's 46 in California, though. It's freezing here.
What is it? I didn't hear.
26.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
warm?
Hey, you guys had it a lot warmer.
Black River Falls is in this part of the state. I don't know why, because it's not like this gigantic valley or anything, but it's in some sort of environmental area where it has its own environment. And Black River Falls will hit 20, 30, 40, 50 below when the rest of the state is maybe only 10 below.
So what's
just
that
really
in? Sorry, my brain's not really functioning right now. So what's that in like real units, not freedom units?
It would be
40 below is 40 below.
In commie units, it's about 10 degrees here.
No, it's anything below 32. It equals
I assume
out.
that's what C stands for. 10
32 would
communists.
be 0.
Yeah,
So
communist units. Yeah.
be like -5.
Yikes.
Jeff, 40 below is the crossover point on Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Cool. My brain's not really working right now, so.
Well,
so
hey,
apparently,
it's midnight and we're still above 0, so that's pretty good for us here.
So apparently, Boulder, Colorado is on fire right now.
What?
Yeah, I was seeing pictures of that on Twitter.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. I was
Hundreds of
seeing
homes
somebody posting
destroyed,
pictures from
thousands
50 miles
evacuated.
away, and you could see huge smoke clouds.
In the wind?
Boulder is on fire.
You mean the city proper?
Oh my word!
Well,
Oh, my word.
it's if you've ever been there, it's in the woods. The entire state of Colorado.
I'm trying to think my geography here because I'm not familiar with Colorado, but Boulder's near to the Hoover Dam, isn't it? Not too far. From that.
So it's the actual
Holy-
itself.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's where Mark and Mindy lived.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The Hoover Dam would be in New Vegas. Yeah, you can tell what I've been
Someone's
playing
been playing
recently.
Fallout. And the smoke plumes.
Oh, is that what
I
happened?
only
A
thought
plane
that because originally
crashed?
they were going to call it the Boulder Dam, but
A plane crashed in Boulder, and that's what started the fire?
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't hear what had started it.
Yeah.
well,
What are the odds I'd be playing Fallout? It's certainly not like that's a Fallout poster behind me.
So on Thursday night, hundreds of people watched from a ridge top as orange flames tore through the Rock Creek neighborhood of Superior, and numerous other fires dotted the horizon. Firefighting conditions were expected to improve overnight as winds decrease. The National Weather Service said a high wind warning was extended through 8 p.m., but winds were expected to lessen overnight. Snow that's expected Friday could also help douse the blaze. About 600 homes, a
Kitty, what
Target
are you
shopping
doing?
complex, and a hotel have been
It's
destroyed by
dangerous.
fire in the area, according to Boulder County Sheriff Joe Pell. One fire had burned over 1,600 acres in a suburban area as of Thursday evening. At least one first responder was injured, and a hospital reported treating several burn victims. There have been no reports of missing people or fatalities yet, but Pell said he would not be surprised if there were injuries or fatalities resulting from the fires.
But no mention what caused it?
I'm skimming the rest of the article. Cloud of dark fierce mixing blowing over the town. It's about 20 miles northwest of Denver. It doesn't say, they're not sure. I'm not sure how it started. It hasn't said how it started in the article, but that it was hopscotching the area.
Wow.
All right, well, we could also try this. Alexa? Nope, we can't get his Alexa to start. Or her Alexa, I'm not sure who had it.
Yeah, Will has it, but we'll make sure that it can't respond during the chats.
And my iPad's in the other room, so it won't
What's
respond
that?
to Hey. My iPad's in the other room, so it won't respond to Hey Siri.
Sorry, I had to go to the little sewing room. And while I was in there, apparently Superior, Colorado is on fire right now, and they're evacuating. And I know that because I know people that live there, and they said on Facebook they had to evacuate their home.
I was literally just talking about that.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. The question we haven't gotten answer to yet is what started the fire.
It's already the most destructive fire in Colorado history. But
yeah, this is saying 600 homes and a shopping center and hotel have been destroyed already.
The fire started from a downed power line following an unusually dry and warm winter for... Okay, so it was a downed power line that set off the most destructive fire in Colorado history.
Wow.
That's just awful. That's
same
thing in California. Our infrastructure is old. And one little spark, burns down half the state.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's dry. The weather patterns are shifting. I've noticed that they're getting snow in states further south than they're used to having it. And we're only getting half as much here as we should be getting.
Well, we were under a tornado watch 2.5 weeks ago.
Is that a new thing for you?
This time of year?
Like, that is some
I knew this person was no toy time in hell either. I knew you were a Christian.
But keep in mind where we lucked out where I was. Illinois and Kentucky were not so lucky.
Honestly, that's giving me flashbacks to when I was a kid here in Florida. The firestorm, I think it was of 98. Like, Florida was burning. I think it was in 1998. And Florida was just absolutely on fire.
I agree, Spackle. They are weirdos. Trolls are weird people.
Hey, Heat Shield. Hi, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, I was figuring Wes was a Christian troll from about the third comment, but I wasn't sure.
he perhaps that he turned up in on the marathon stream on he was in the chat during Claire's run. So
Oof.
yeah,
Okay, Kitty, you're holding it a
and
little high.
I would seriously advise you don't let him in ever.
Okay.
No one lets him into a stream because of the way some of the things he was saying, he was desperate to be let in. Led me to believe that if he does, he's going to porn bomb. So
Yeah.
I would
Well, I
I would
wasn't going
not-
to
I'd
send
be-
him a link, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
was very desperate. He seemed to be very desperate to get into Claire's stream the other day, and
so,
it
yeah.
was.
That's
happened
why
to me
I
before. This is
appreciate
why I'm
other
always.
people. I appreciate other people helping me moderate the side chat because I can't always be watching it.
I mean,
Oh,
that's
I'm on it.
insane.
I can't always tell some of these people that come in right away. I can't pick them off.
I know people
what-
no one remembers, but godless sewing, I have no tolerance for
Okay,
trolls.
Kitty, it's off the fire now.
All right. Well,
I have no tolerance for trolls.
but if you're a programmer, what you can do is have some fun and rewrite an API for your favorite trolls and make them say what you want them to say. Intercept their chats, change them.
That's so sad. I haven't watched the news all day because it's depressing. Even when I watch the world news now, it's depressing. So I didn't know there was a fire.
Wait, you didn't limit yourself to one news broadcast per week during the Trump administration just to keep sanity?
I was every morning fucking damage report. Like I felt like fucking Picard.
No, I had to stop watching it after a while.
I would hate it during the Trump administration. I'd fall asleep at night and the TV is on and the overnight news is on all night, and I'd wake up and there's blood and shit coming out of my ears, you know. And
I gotta see.
So I remember the 2016 election. So I did not sleep the night before election night because I was worried that Trump might win. I kept trying to reassure myself he's got a narrow path to victory. The country's not that stupid. It's not that racist. It'll be fine. So I cast my vote, and then I was watching the election results, sitting on the couch in the living room, and I fell asleep before they called Florida. And I woke up at like 3:30 or so, or 4 in the morning. Like it was at a time where it might have been a little later than that because like it was just starting to lighten up a bit, and it was like foggy.
Yeah.
I felt like I woke up in Silent Hill, and I literally felt like someone had died, and I was kind of in like stunned like shock for a couple of days.
I've been to the town the movie Silent Hill was based off of.
You know, I that night that Trump won, I remember telling my pops, and he started laughing. And I told him all my rebuttal, and he looked at me and he's like, "First racist president, huh?" And he just kept laughing. He was old. He had lived through crazy presidents before.
well,
He's
I
certainly
understand
not
what
the
your
first president that was a racist. I can assure you of that.
I understand what your dad was saying, Will, but Trump is blatantly, openly racist. No, we've never had a president that was that bad. Never. Well, in modern history.
Well,
well, not in modern history. Yeah.
The midterm election is kind of interesting because it's like the Democrats can't win this, but will the Republicans do a better chance of losing it?
Yeah,
especially now that Trump has turned against Mitch McConnell and is fielding candidates in places that were safe seats for Republicans.
But honestly, truly, as bad as Trump was, I honestly think that he's more of a symptom. He's not the actual disease. He's like that festering, smelly, gangrenous wound.
Yeah.
I think Mitch McConnell is part of the actual disease. I think Mitch McConnell has done more to harm our democracy and the democratic process in this country than anyone else.
I would.
Ever.
I agree with. I was saying that for a while, Kitty.
McConnell has been trying to dismantle the democracy for decades.
Trump is the smelly wound, that's collecting maggots, while McConnell is the fucking gangrene and sepsis like running through your bloodstream that will ultimately be the the death of you.
Really? Because I don't think McConnell. I think
McConnell.
there's a huger problem with things like the fairness doctrine and not regulating places like Google, Twitter, and Facebook to actually have a more
fairness
moderating
doctrine-
influence
fairness-
on people's views.
Fairness doctrine went away with Reagan.
Yeah, and that's part of the modern problem. What is one of the major sources of misinformation?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not arguing with you whether or not it's a legitimate part of what's wrong, but it didn't happen under Mitch McConnell. It happened under Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, but I'm not saying Mitch McConnell is the problem. I'm saying I think this is the problem more. But reducing societal problems to one thing isn't. Because there's always been a current of racism.
Yeah, well, the Republicans supported Trump because they knew if they had a clown in the White House, nobody would pay attention to what Congress was doing.
Racism.
I think they got more than they bargained for, and then they were stuck with it. They can't back up and say they made a mistake.
And keep in mind, Trump has a dangerous personality cult.
Yep.
But they're turning
And that's
on
the
him.
part that I don't think the Republican Party was prepared for. That Trump would form such a cult that he would still have support after he was out of office. But he has the ability now to fracture the party. And that's really what I'm hoping will happen in time for the midterm election.
There are people in my town that are still wearing full MAGA gear. Hats, scarves, jackets.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
We've
cult.
still got a guy here with a Trump flag flying off of his trucks that's bigger than the bed of the pickup.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, when the weather was a bit warmer, he'd just sit in the parking lot and scream at people.
That's why I'm still kind of shocked that Gavin Newsom won with the 75%. I was kind of scared because there's a lot of Trumpers around here, you know. But California came to their senses.
Well, I mean, his number one competitor was fucking terrifying.
Say what, Heat Shield?
Devil that you know. Like, Newsom's terrible, but, I mean, he's better than the fucking crazy, zealotous, Trumpy talk show host.
Well,
radio
that's
host.
that's the one downside about St. Cloud is it is a very red pocket in a blue state. We have all Republican representatives here.
There's a lot of red in Minnesota. The only reason that Minnesota goes blue is because we have a strong governor, and we've had a series of intelligent governors in Dayton and others. We have the huge metroplex of Minneapolis and Rochester, which is fairly large for a rural state. But the rural where I'm living, it's absolutely red. There's no blue here except for me.
But even some of the Republicans we get here are like, you know, closer to center than some of the Democrats. Mark Dayton really surprised me. You know, I did not support him at all. He's tied to the Dayton-Hudson and the whole Target thing. You know, but he actually passed some legislation that did some good for working people.
Minnesota works because its citizens, regardless of what party they're supporting, pretty much seem to have a common message that the state is responsible for taking good care of the state and then people's needs.
Yeah.
And you better do a fucking good job of it. I don't hear anybody griping in this state about the general conditions of roads or schools or any kind of infrastructure issues. It's all taken care of on schedule and done properly. Well, and I think that's what the people are demanding, and that's why the state does so well, even with its red, Maryland Bachmans and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and Minnesotans in general have the attitude that what you do on your own property is your business.
Heat Shield, what I was referring to is the people who own those coal roller trucks with the beds, large beds, and they're diesel trucks. They've made a modification to them to shorten their lives so they can blow smoke to own the libs. And they usually have those huge MAGA flags and often a Confederate flag flying out the back because they want to, I guess, display their intention to sleep with their sister.
So that's
the energy. That's
those truck starts fights around here. There was one guy who had "Trumpin' ain't easy" on his truck. I pulled up next to him, and I was like, I was like, you still haven't taken this SHIT off your truck. And he did that. He did that with the death smoke on his truck to own the libs.
Listen, if it were up to me, I would replace all the Confederate flags or the Trump flags with like the gay pride flag or the trans pride flag.
Let me dig through my phone. I have many pictures of his truck because he lived somewhere near my son's school. And every morning I would see a truck that said Trumpin' ain't easy. And I guarantee you he was a sheriff because he would always pull off in the area where you would have to pull off if you were a cop. But there was a huge automotive place around there. So maybe he worked over there. But, you know, those trucks are not cheap. You have to have a good job.
Joe Arpaio type.
Yeah, big time. Big
I
time.
I can remember actually, I was going back a few years now, but triggering a load of like American right wingers was just sharing this meme, and it was the Dukes of Hazzard, you know, the card of General Lee, but but the flag had been replaced with the Pride flag. Oh my God! Like, did I get some crazies coming on that? It was hilarious. I enjoyed it.
I remember someone, I think it was the house across the street from the Westboro Baptist Church. Someone bought it and painted it with like a pride flag.
Yep.
And I'm like, fucking hero. Not all heroes wear capes.
Listen, I wanted to get a Dodge Charger, paint it like blue with the American flag on top, call it the General Sherman, and then put flamethrowers on it.
You're cruel.
But if you're really crazy, go and drive that in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the same thing and put General Lee as you know what on the side.
Would you take that car to Georgia then, or are you in Georgia?
I'm not in Georgia.
They would love you around here if you had that car.
You know, and that's one of the things that the internet has really shown me is talking to people like in Georgia and Alabama, that there are people down there who don't seem to be aware that the Confederacy lost the Civil War.
Thank the Daughters of the Confederacy.
That's why
they whitewashed the history books.
General Sherman also has an undeserved reputation as excessively violent.
Oh, hey, Amanda.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Amanda, yay.
But yes,
Sherman's name is still a swear word in Georgia to this day, though.
I would go speeding through parts of Kentucky and get back to the other side quickly.
Well, I actually, Kentucky's one of the few places in the United States I've actually been, and I think it was the Daughters of the Confederacy who actually paid for them for the part of the cemetery or whatever, because there's a Confederate flag flying there and Confederate war dead. Or when I say Confederate flag, you know, the battle flag, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it was a combination. It was a two-pronged effort. There was the Ku Klux Klan. They were like the male branch of it, and they, you know, basically did like with the monuments and stuff. But the Daughters of the Confederacy, they were all the Southern women, you know, that essentially gained influence over the textbooks, and it got to a point where they had to be approved by them in order to be used in the South. So that's why we have such a whitewashed view of history being taught in the U.S. South, where you hear the states' rights or the
states' rights,
Northern aggression.
Yeah. Or or the Second War of Independence. That's the other one I used to hear quite a lot.
When I was in 5th grade, I had
the War of Northern Aggression.
That pisses me off when people say that. That's just people not accepting losing.
Northern aggression. I'm trying to think. Who was it who fired the first shots? Was it Fort Sumter? Was it the North? I don't think it was.
Yeah.
And you know, I say this time and time again of people who claim what's it called? Who claim Southern heritage. As someone who actually has Southern heritage, check your DNA. You're related to a gang of black people. Check your DNA. Liars.
Yeah, well, probably, but keep in mind 23andMe's DNA data isn't known to be terribly accurate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going on 23andMe data as a way of control. Like what was considered the mulatto race was created. Like there was
I
no
hate
such
God, I
there
hate
was
that word.
there was no such thing. There was no such thing as a half black person, and then America happened.
Amanda knows me too well. I was just reading the chat.
I know my ancestry data through genealogical records, and in the Civil War, my great however many great grandfathers fought for the 36th Massachusetts Infantry, and going further back, actually, a great grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War and was an artificer and was actually on the field that like famous winter with George Washington.
Yeah.
I own a Confederate colt that by some mathematical absurdity is in my hands because it was in my family.
I mean, I probably had ancestors who were in the Underground Railroad because my ancestors were Mennonites, and a lot of them were in the Underground Railroad.
Yeah, on my dad's side, his family came to the United States in the mid 1600s from England, from the Sussex area, and settled in Massachusetts. And on my mom's side, at least through her father's side, they left France around the same time, but settled in Canada, in Arcadia, before it was Canada.
Your ancestors aren't too far away from where I lived then, Kitty.
Yeah, for me, on either side of my family, I'm only fourth generation in the U.S., so I didn't even have any ancestors on this continent before 1900.
My oldest. Oh, go ahead. Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Really quick, there's somebody in my family, and I want to brag about this person, but we oddly have the exact same name. Like our like my real name is the exact same as this person, but he earned his PhD studying our family. And he's a professor at Ohio State. He's been on TV. He's still he's in my family, we call it, semi-famous because he was on with Lester Holt. And so anyways, my whole point is he's the only reason I know my ancestry because he did the legwork. He did the history. He went in the books. He found out what our name meant. He found out that the person who owned my great-great-great-grandmother created a ton of half black people. And, that's the only reason I even know about the Confederacy, the people that were fought for the Union, is because someone earned a PhD off it. The average African-American won't know that much, and it's sad. It's a crying shame.
Well, most Americans won't know much about their genealogy until they're older either, and being able to trace it is, I've heard, a form of white privilege as much as I don't like privilege discussions outside of certain contexts.
I come from semi-privilege. I didn't realize it until I got on the internet. Privilege is relative depending on who you're talking to,
But I'm also an ex-Mormon.
Ow.
And the ex-Mormons keep a huge genealogical data.
Yes, they do. Yes.
My family on my mom's side, our genealogy has been recorded, part of Wisconsin's recorded written history for a long time. And my oldest known relative of note was a guy named Charles de Langlade, who had the notable position of being the person who one of the people who led the French and Indian in the French and Indian Wars, led the Indians and French in the Battle of Braddock's defeat and kicked his ass. But fortunately, I don't know, maybe unfortunately, did not hurt his second or third in command, some guy named George Washington.
Yeah. Well, both sides of my family came and settled in the same little town that I was stuck in Upper Michigan. So it's real easy to trace them back to that point. Tracing them back before they came to the U.S. gets really difficult because both sides are here because Russia moved the borders and screwed everything up.
Yeah. For on my dad's side, like on his father's side, that's the one that came from England. But on his mother's side, my dad was first generation here, because his mother was half German, half Lithuanian. And after World War II, they actually had spent time in one of the camps. Like I got a stack of papers on my grandmother, great grandmother, and great aunt from when they were locked up in Nazi Germany, and they survived and came here after the war and settled in Massachusetts, and that's where my grandmother met my grandfather.
Yep.
And thus my father was born.
I know my dad's side pretty well, where I'm descended from that line from Swiss Mennonites who came to Pennsylvania because they couldn't own land, and they were farmers. That was important to them. But my mother's side is more interesting because once part of that lineage goes back, I think, to King William, so that will go back all the way back to Adam and Eve, because of the way they did that back then. But if you trace my grandfather's history, it goes back to his father, and that's it. There is no information after that.
I find a lot of people in the UK, because they use like sites like Ancestry or whatever, which is a good resource up to a certain point, but so many of them seem to go back with very, very tenuous links. I can't recall the amount of people I know who've told me that they're direct descendant of Alfred the Great. It's like he only had a couple of children. Come on, it's very, it gets so tenuous.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
I tried tracing mine back with historical records, but honestly, on either side of my family, I can't trace anything back with any certainty, much past like the 1830s. And a lot of that is because I had ancestors who were in workhouses, and that's tracing back behind, getting past them can be very, very tricky. Like Victorian workhouses can be very tricky. I mean, obviously there are sort of links, but it's so tenuous that I can't actually say that's my lineage. So
we have a saying in Southern California. It's the first time I actually said it in English. It's everybody's grandfather rode with Pancho Villa. In Spanish, everybody was like, "Oh, my grandfather was this or that." Like, unless you can prove it, you're just, there's really, it's just a story.
It's like
people like the bullshit and want to glom onto notoriety and I mean, there's like 500,000 people that say that they were at the Ice Bowl from 1964, 65. When it was 13 below, which is interesting considering the stadium only held 50,000 people. So,
I tell the truth. Like, when people ask me about my lineage, I tell them, like, on my dad's side, I came from like slaves, real ones, and on my mom's side, like, they were Spaniards. Judge all you want,
Everybody wants to have family legends about what great deeds their ancestors did.
You mean like how mine all trace their ancestry back, or people with my last name trace it back to a guy who had his head cut off by the Roman Catholic Church in Zurich? Is in the murder mirror.
I was having this conversation just earlier today with my mom. Like, my grandfather was semi-famous. No one cares. I have pictures. I used to show him in B Stream all the time. Him with Bob Hope, Robert Wagner, O.J. Simpson. That whole generation has come and gone.
Hey, I don't have to go any further back than my father. That he was in France in World War II. And the town of Metz, France, to this day maintains a museum to his infantry division for defending their town.
Hey, I mean, to be fair, and I don't know for sure because everybody, involved is dead now, but it's possible that your grandfather or father fought my great-grandfather, because my great-grandfather, Eric, according to the family, was a Nazi, and his wife and 2 daughters ended up in one of the camps.
Right.
I do not know how that happened, but family lore is he was SS. So I don't think it was a punishment thing, because the SS tended to be the most loyal to the cause of the people. But again, everyone's dead now. I have no way to really verify it.
The second you said the N-word, I got a punk song stuck in my head called John Wayne is a Nazi. It's a great song. You should look it up. It's like a 30-second song because punk songs are awesome. Look it up.
Okay, real quick. Will, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So, like when you were a kid and you would get sick, did your mom bust out the Vicks vapor rub and say the Mexican chant?
Sana sana cochinada. So my mom would
Sana,
get
sana, colita,
my mom would get Vicks. I say it cochinada like you're dirty. Like I say it the jokey way, but my mom would get Vicks and 7-Up. I call that the Mexican cure for a cold. I don't know if it works.
Instead of crystals and spells, sana, sana, colita.
I loved Vicks Vapor Rub when my mom would do that.
I was going to say, I've got the
Me
Vicks
too.
vaporizer going in the room, and as soon as I get out of the shower, I'm going to be curling up in bed with the vaporizer going. I'm going to slap some of that slimy shit on my chest.
Oh, you're bringing me back. Yeah, that was like the unauthorized cure for the cold.
Now I guess you can get Vicks Vapor Rub in a patch, and you just put the patch on you, which takes away all the fun and enjoyment of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Okay,
the closeness that the parent and child, I think, was a marvelous thing.
Okay, but I'm not trying to give away any secrets. If you've ever done a hallucinogen like acid, take like a Vicks Vapor Rub patch or something and put it on your spine. It'll induce a flashback. You're welcome.
All right. Actually, there's something in chat.
Go ahead, Porpoise.
Never take medical advice from Godless Sewing.
I can.
Okay.
Go ahead. Porpoise.
Nothing on this channel should ever be taken as medical or legal advice.
Yeah, exactly.
If you take anything on the internet as medical or legal advice, please consult a mental health professional immediately.
Unless it's from an actual doctor, and not on BitChute,
and not some wacko like me who puts salon pods patches on his spine.
Okay, sorry, I need to get that disclaimer in. Go ahead, Porpoise.
Oh, it was just something that's been discussed in chat. I think they're done with it now, but I wanted to get to it. The reason I don't like privilege is because a lot of people don't understand it's about relative power in society, and taking it out of a sociology context kind of just gets people to think things that aren't really about the discussion.
Vicks.
Yes.
Also, considering that discussion we just had, I'd like to point out that Pennsylvania Dutch people, before modern medicine, did have a practice known as powwow, and that Vicks Vapor Rub thing sounded a lot like it could have been a powwow thing.
No, these tissues they have lotion.
By the way, well, as someone who's taken my share of acid,
oh, not the acid thing, the cure thing.
Well, actually, a couple people's share of acid. I can make myself trip again just by deciding to do it.
Yes. That's why when Jyuni made that video about shadow people, I was like, oh, other people take drugs too.
they said, I remember when I was young, and the people say, after you understand that if you take this once, your brain is never going to be the same.
Yep.
And nobody could really explain why, but they just said, accept that this is true. And I, okay, fine, great. I took the risk. I was a stupid kid. And that's the change that I've had, is that I can just sit there, I can stare at something, and I can decide that I'm going to let this wall bend and warp and do all kinds of things, and it does.
Oh yeah. And ever since my car accident, because I really never used patches or anything like that, and someone told me, they're like, don't put a salon pause on your spine, it'll induce an acid hallucination. And 5 minutes later, I had one on my spine because I'm like, oh, this is an old wives' tale. This isn't gonna work. I was laying on my couch and I was like, holy shit, something on the internet was actually true.
I swear by these. These are the best tissues because they've got lotion in them, so it's not as rough on your nose. And they smell just like the Vicks Vapor Rub. So, like, if you breathe in before you go to blow your nose, like you get that hit of Vicks.
I need that because this
See,
time
I
of year.
save money. I just use my finger.
It's got aloe and
long sleeves, Jenny. Long sleeves. Long
so
sleeves.
I never heard of a puff with Vicks before. Yeah, sometimes I just put a dab of Vicks right under my nose.
Well, they have the inhalers too, where you just—it's almost like a chapstick, but
Yeah, I
instead,
used to
like
use
shove
those.
them up your nose. But I'd rather just have these because it's a lot less uncomfortable than shoving something in your nose when you're all stuffed up. Because like you can just have this and just be sniffing
Back
the
in the
tissue
day,
until you need to use it.
back in the day, we'd buy those inhalers from the drugstore and crack them open and remove the Vicks plug that's in there. It's like the size of a cigarette butt. You take that out, throw it out, wash the thing out, get all the Vicks smell out, and then you take a fresh cigarette butt and put that in there and fill it with amyl nitrate, and then you gotta take a hit of amyl nitrate anytime, which gave you this rush, and and clouded your head for a few moments and stuff like that. It lasted about 2-3 minutes, but it was fun in the day. Don't do that, kids. It could give you a stroke.
I've not been that shook since earlier when I went to the pharmacy and I saw how much they're charging for a carton of cigarettes now.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
fucking $80 in Florida.
Oh, same here in California. It's like $100. So holy spackle, that actually happened to me, where I took way too many edibles, and I had a moment in a casino, and I freaked out. I freaked out. All the edibles hit me at once.
Spackle, I don't know if the document. I imagine the documentary mentioned it, that the alkaloid that can create the hallucinogenic effect from a pufferfish will also kill you in larger doses.
Just a
Well,
question.
that's true of most hallucinogenic drugs.
No, it's not.
Take too much of them.
I don't think shrooms can actually kill you unless you do something stupid while you're like blitzed. Like like psychedelic ones. Not obviously poison mushrooms will kill you, but I'm saying like the
Well, generally you're getting the psychedelic effect because it is a poison to some degree.
So somebody,
that's the effect it's having on your brain is you're being poisoned.
Well, yeah, a lot of things that are used are belladonna alkaloid based hallucinogens, and those can be very rough on you.
Yeah, I mean the same is true with alcohol.
Take you places you don't want to go.
I'll tell you. One time I took 2 full eighths of mushrooms. Okay, at that point in my life, the most I'd ever taken was half an eighth. Still to this day, I laugh at how much I freaked out and completely lost it. I was so shook. I ran to my parents' house and I didn't even live there anymore. But I knew that, like, I'm lucky because both of my parents were alive during the 60s and 70s. The second I rang the doorbell, they took one look in my eyes and were like, "Get in here," because I looked like
you kind of had big pupils.
I looked like a Simpsons character. And they knew. They're like, no, this guy's high as hell, And I learned my lesson. That night scared me straight, and I haven't done a hallucinogen since because it kicked my ass. And
I will not. I will never do hallucinogens again. And I did a lot when I was a teenager. I was a bit dumb, but I'm not. No, never again.
I mean, what's it like to have actually?
What's that?
Sorry, ex-Mormon here. What's it like to have actually done these serious drugs? And Spackle, I have a question.
Oh my!
It's not today or tomorrow. The after effects are like 10 years later, 20 years later. Like Jenny was saying when she's doing the Matrix stuff on the couch, like that's real. That's real. Like I do that. That shit's real,
That's a
big
question.
When Jyuni had that video about shadow people, I was like, I can't watch this at first because shadow people are real.
Let me get this question off.
The effect that I can generate is not as strong as the actual trip. I will assure you of that, but you can still do it.
Spackle, I also have a question for you because then I think Kitty wanted to say something.
Oh.
When you had that experience, were there any other sinister porpoises who might pose a threat?
Oh.
That's another thing. I will come with a disclaimer. If you're in a bad place in your life, or you think, I had a good friend who was schizophrenic but didn't know, and he took a combination of ecstasy and acid, and some people
Oh
say
God.
some people say he
Yeah.
never came back.
Yeah,
But
I
the
bet.
truth is he was schizophrenic. But what it did was trigger his schizophrenia at 19 years old.
That's called unmasking, and it was one of the known dangers, even back in the day. That's one of the reasons that you had trip sitters, because you don't know if somebody's going to unmask on a given trip.
He's in his 40s, and it's a humbling experience. I still go and see him. It's humbling to see a grown man in a facility because he took drugs.
Although I
For
suspect,
me,
Well, to be fair, the schizophrenia will usually unmask itself all by itself.
Yeah,
The acid just sped it up, gave it a reason to happen now.
but at 19, that's
usually
sad.
it's early 20s, like
Well,
early to mid
schizophrenia,
20s.
usually comes out in the early 20s.
Oh, I didn't
So,
know.
and
yeah,
I didn't
usually
know.
it's early to mid 20s for schizophrenia.
Crazy.
although now I think it was an untreated or an improperly treated thyroid problem with my mother.
Oh my
One of the
word,
reasons I
let
won't
me
do
go in. It's that late.
drugs is because she had schizoaffective bipolar disorder, and if you take marijuana or drugs like that, it can trigger it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm kind of boring when it comes to the drugs that I've done, other than what's been legally prescribed to me. There have only been 2, like not counting obviously caffeine, tobacco, alcohol, things that you can just go buy off the shelf. Pot is the main one that I've done. And at this point, like, it's kind of dumb that it's not just treated like alcohol and just, 21 and up and,
Yeah.
have fun, do you? But the other one, I was 17 and I took ecstasy once. And honestly, it I don't recommend anybody try drugs, but full disclosure, I didn't hate it. It's not something that I would want to do over and over again, but it very much was like a warm,
Ecstasy is
fluffy
MDA, right?
blanket.
Yes.
It was like being wrapped in a warm, fluffy blanket. So I had gone to a movie, and this was when Pirates of the Caribbean had come out. And so I went to the movie with my friends, and I took my friends just like, here, swallow this. And I'm like, okay. That was stupid. Don't ever do that. I was with people I trusted, but even then, don't do that. Bad idea. It worked out okay for me, but that doesn't mean it will for you. And so we went to a different theater than the one I worked at, and we sat at the very back of this like stadium theater that had like seats that leaned backwards. And so we're in the very back, and I'm like cracking up. I'm like giggling about Johnny Depp saying savvy, and like everything was just happy and fluffy and rainbows and kittens and butterflies. And then when the movie was over, I got up and I walked on the backs of these chairs from the back of the biggest stadium theater they had all the way down and did like a fucking superhero landing. There's no way I would have been able to do that if I wasn't fucking out of my mind on something. I would never be able to do it again, but I did it once in my life. I got to feel like a fucking superhero for like a split second, and I didn't bust my ass.
So does the
Speckle, was that actually on a stream?
Oh, wow.
So does the existence of these drugs explain the monster truck Bugzilla?
Do you know, I like to name the drugs that I haven't done because I've done so many. I haven't done like meth or heroin, and that's probably it. I've done mescaline.
Yeah.
I've done
I agree with Maya.
I've done
Yeah,
everything. I've went to Amsterdam with my cousin when I was 19. Like, I've done a ton of drugs.
I've only had one good hallucinogenic trip, and honestly, I'd be interested in trying some other things, but it would have to be from somebody I really trust and to make sure I've got a good spotter.
I tried cocaine about 12 different times, and I never got off on it. Not an itch of effect.
Well, obviously, other people might know I did a little adventure in Peru about 3 years ago. Little hiking trip there through the Andes, and let's just put it this way: when the guides or whatever, when they make your drink in the morning, you weren't getting coffee or you're getting Peruvian marching tea, as I tended to call it. It's I swear they put coca leaves in everything out there.
Damn
You
right.
know, okay, it's not the same as snorting a line, obviously.
Yeah, but it gives the gringos some pep in their step.
Yeah.
Well, it was that's how they found out about cocaine, is that the indigenous people down there would chew leaves, you know, on day to day on doing their stuff, and white people came down and went, oh, look at this, let's investigate this, see what kind of drugs in there.
Yeah, what you doing? What you doing?
Yeah,
Can I try some of that?
Going back to Maya's point, I absolutely agree. Prohibition has never worked for anything. And like, I'm a libertarian socialist. I believe that, you know, you should have a right to do to your own body whatever you want, just about. You know, really the only areas I make exceptions, like I believe in a right to die. I believe in a right to abortion. I believe in a right to a sex change. I believe in a right, you know, to marry, you know, and have sex with whomever you want. I believe in polyamory. Like, I believe in a right to do drugs. Like, because honestly, as long as you're not getting behind the wheel of a car, or you're not supposed to be taking care of like a minor child or something where you're you know, neglecting them, as long as it's just you, go for it. Because not everybody who does drugs, like most people that do drugs, they're casual users. It's a weekend thing, a wind down thing, you know, or even if they are addicts, they're functional addicts. And we spend so much time prohibiting and like punishing people for a medical condition that is addiction, when we would save a lot more money just treating those that have the addiction issues. And we can raise tax revenue from legalizing, taxing, and regulating all of the drugs. Plus, you won't have people accidentally overdosing, because it's like, if they know that this dose of heroin is their dose,
well,
they're not going to accidentally.
you know, that's.
I have a quick question before Jenny kicks the wall down. I have a really quick question. Kitty, first, I miss you. And second, I have a question. What, you know, I'm a boomer. What does California sober mean? I've been seeing it all over Twitter. They're like, I'm California sober. I'm California. What does that mean?
I think it means you're stoned but still good to drive. So basically you like 90% of the day.
Oh, so they're describing me.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even drink. I don't smoke nicotine. I just smoke pot. I guess that California sober.
I think so.
I haven't had a sip.
You aren't drinking alcohol. You're smoking pot instead.
I haven't had a sip of alcohol in almost 7 years. I quit 7 years ago, and I quit smoking 3 years ago.
Okay, Jenny had been trying to say something there.
Sorry.
I just wanted to respond to Kitty. First of all, Kitty, I mostly agree with everything you just said about bodily autonomy and drug use and things like that. But I think that there are some drugs that should remain controlled, and I class them what I call single dose death. That there are some drugs that if you take too much, you're gone. And that's the things like heroin, cocaine can do that.
Oh yeah.
Marijuana can't. Acid can't.
Like if you want to roll those dice, that should be your right.
See, that's why I think we should control those things, because there's so many people that frankly don't have the intellect to understand the dynamics of the drug and what it can do and how fast and what the responsibility is in it is. Alcohol is almost a one dose death drug. You drink enough alcohol, you're gone. Plain and simple. Most people would never do that because it takes such a large quantity, but it is possible to do it.
Well, they found ways around that now.
The biggest issue is that most people don't understand the concept of dosage. They can't figure out what is a safe dose before they've taken too much.
So true. So
And
true.
that's where educational resources, you could have, the places that you buy them, you could have educational resources there where
You-
you could have a chart based on body weight of, maximum safe dosage based on your body weight and have it be a little bit less than what the actual maximum safe is. Because
some people will pay attention to that, and most people just completely ignore it.
I agree with you, but
I'm just saying there are ways to make it work. And
when
those that
I-
ignore it, that's on them.
when I was I was like 23, 24 when I lived in Oregon, I watched a young man pound a 5-hour energy and hit the ground, and I had to perform CPR on him. I think we should regulate stuff like that more than we should regulate drugs,
Back in the day when we ran the hotline, the internal motto of the place was roughly, to paraphrase, drug education is better than drug ignorance, and be careful what you drop or smoke. And the intent to employ that philosophy was that we thought that if we would teach people about drugs and what they are and what various doses do and things like that, that we would prevent deaths and things like that. And we did. We absolutely did. We had this service called a pill ID, and people would call up with pills that they stole from their grandparents' medicine cabinet and say, well, like, I got this drug, what is this? And they describe the pill, we identify it pictorially, and then take a look at the adverse effect, contraindications, all that sort of stuff. And a lot of times people were going, oh, I'm going to try and take this and get off. Well, you take 3 or 4 of those and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because you just don't introduce a whole bunch of beta blockers into you if you don't need them.
Well,
unfortunately, WebMD now has the pill identifier to do that kind of stuff, but it still doesn't help people with what's a safe dosage.
In
Yeah, but-
1999.
And so there, some people did call and ask these kinds of questions, wisely so. And we're talking, we got 30,000 calls a month.
That's crazy. In the late 90s, my dad gave me a book that it was a picture book, and it had every pill that was made up till that year,
The PDR.
And, yeah, he told me, he's like, because of what my parents do, they have access to all kinds of medical things. My dad told me, you're an idiot. You need this. I'll never forget that conversation. He was like, don't kill yourself here. But what he was telling me was educate yourself. And so I kind of understand what Jenny's saying. Like, people need education on what they're taking. And it stopped me from taking a lot of stuff.
I'm just saying, like, we could have those LD50s already calculated. I mean, like, what dosages, like, if you were going to give someone a dosage of morphine in a hospital, what it's going to be based on their weight. And you can extrapolate out from that for other opiates, varying degrees of potency. So you can already have the maths done so that, when the person picks it up, it's just like the dosing chart on your fucking NyQuil. It tells you exactly how much NyQuil you can take.
Okay.
Your intent is very well intentioned, but it doesn't work. Okay, is what I'm saying, and that's
if stupid people do with
my
them, then they get dead.
having tried that. Is that people ignore the education that you're offering, and they do what they're going to do anyways. That people just and it's primarily young people that do it. They will just take anything because the assumption is that if it's a pill, you can get off.
Yeah.
Okay? And they just take shit and they have
But
problems.
if they can legally
This is a really good topic here, but we've been going almost 3.5 hours, and that's kind of my limit on the way I've been running lately.
I was wondering
I'm
about
just
that.
running out of energy here.
No worries.
So yeah,
No
let's
hard feelings, Kitty.
Oh, of course not. We can argue
Okay.
this back and forth at another date. We'll see if Purple will have us on for us to ping pong back and forth.
Well, yeah, we should probably just do a stream on legalizing drugs. And
One of these days, I'll try to dig up an old PDR and show it online.
We did do a stream on drugs back in the good old days. We should bring that topic back up and do it over again, because it is it's something that it's a very, very I don't even know what you call it. CD topic.
Well, let's go around. Anybody have anything to shill? Will, you start first this time.
All right, hold on. Let me brush my hair. All right. You have no idea how thick my eyebrows are. That's salt and sewing. How's it going? I'm Godless Sewing of the Godless Sewing channel. Go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel right now. I was making a video ranting about styles and being a mall rat, but then I actually got a request last night from somebody asking me to show how to thread the tiny tailor because I've got 1.4 thousand views on that one video. And when you have a hit, sometimes I don't think it's okay to go back and do videos about it, so I haven't. So because I got a request, I'm going to make a video about how to thread a tiny tailor. So it'll be out soon. Come all down to the Godless Sewing channel. It's no drama zone, just sewing and a whole lot of bad dancing. Godless Sewing, Godless Sewing.
God, you are so funny.
Okay, and Diana's away from her chair, so hopefully she'll come back before we finish.
And really quick, yes, I practice in the mirror.
Diana's back.
Okay, there's Diana. I've just got to unmute her now. Hey, Diana, you want to chill out your stuff, and then we're going to be signing off here.
Okay. For those who don't already know, Sunday morning I'm going to be in dialysis at 0600 hours. So we're moving the show to 3 p.m. Eastern for Sunday, and then we will be back to the regular schedule for the 9th of January. And then I'm thinking of doing a New Year's Day show. We'll see how it goes. I've been meaning to repair that laptop for quite a while. So what I might do is just turn the camera on and repair the laptop and run the show and stuff like that. Repair the cat. Might also do that.
Or you could send the laptop to me and I'll fix it and keep it.
There you go.
Or you can send it to me and I'll install Linux on it and keep it.
Oh man.
And fix it.
I love Linux. I dearly love Linux. I've been running Linux since '99. I get shit from Kate all the time about it, but I dearly love it. I actually bought an Acer laptop that runs Linux recently. I needed a lighter laptop for dialysis because the one I'm repairing right now weighs something like 50 pounds. It's pulling my spine out of line when I would have it in my backpack. So I got an Acer with Linux on it, and it does really nicely. Really, the only problem was that it was $1,200.
Just get an Intel Chromebook and throw Linux on it.
Say again, hon?
Just get an Intel Chromebook and throw Linux on it.
Okay, then. But yeah, it's we'll just do our stuff, and Happy New Year, everybody, and things and stuff.
Okay, Jenny, you have any last words?
Yeah, I'm going to try and glom onto some shows New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I don't remember who, but we'll see. Maybe I'll get on, maybe I won't. But if you follow me because you're so goofy in the head, I'll try to be out there and be ruining other people's shows, not just Purple's. Secondly, I wanted to mention that I was spouting earlier about the poison potential of belladonna alkaloids. I also wanted to mention that belladonna alkaloids are very useful and used in some common drugs. Used to be very commonly used in one drug. I don't know if it's still on the market. It was called Contact. It was a cold capsule because it has a lot of drying agents, a drying effect from belladonna as an agent. Next, Will Smith. Did you hear that Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia and has shaved her head bald?
To be fair, in the 90s, she was bald when she was on A Different World.
Oh, really?
I thought
I
she
didn't know that.
I thought she was just using that horse shampoo that Will used to use.
Back when she was dating Tupac, she was bald.
Oh, I just saw her on a TV show earlier today, so I thought it was brand new news. I didn't know. And the next thing is Sinister Porpoise. I really enjoy being on with you. You're really smart, and I like smart.
Yeah, I've liked Sinister Porpoise since I saw Neil do the deconversion stories with you, so I've been trying to bring you into this group more.
And lastly, I'll finish up with our English friends. Jeff, always good to see you. Happy New Year to you and everyone in the chat. I genuinely hope that everybody has a good year this year. And Stool, it was very nice having you here and so quiet.
Yeah, it's always nice when Stool is quiet.
I was wondering if you had maybe overdosed on emu sperm.
Yeah, Stool didn't really say much, just typing some things in the side chat.
I'm just still really pleased that it's 10 of your voodoo degrees warmer here than it is in Will Land. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You won for now. It's cold in California.
So, Stool, why don't you go ahead? You got anything more to say?
I've got nothing to say as usual, except when this stream ends, whatever you do, please do not be touching your man candles.
Okay.
no doing Joe Rogan things. Huh?
Okay, Jeff, you got anything going on?
Yeah, I think I'm on Jen's channel a bit later today. She's streaming. Yeah, I don't know. I should have. I don't have a date for it yet, but I'm planning something in the new year. I'm trying to get a guest on. I just don't have a time and date. Or by the way, I am also on the old TikToks now, but that's just me messing around, being a bit of a dick, to be honest. So it's a bit of fun,
I did like your song, though, Jeff.
That's right. We should do a quick show for Jen's show. She's having the Cunt of the Year awards.
Yes.
And really quick, just because I wasn't talking out of my mouth, this is the man candle, and it says man candle on it.
Yeah, Jen is going to be doing the Cunt of the Year awards, isn't that in like 5.5 hours now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the Cunt of the Year is today, is it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's at the end because she's in Australia and is playing for their primetime audience.
I think I've been summoned for that.
I think you have still, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not saying Jen thinks you might be. You and I might be like experts on being cunts or something.
No,
I don't know. So we're nominees, are we?
Okay, Kitty.
Yeah, I've been mostly active on TikTok. I actually have a duet I did with Jeff where we were basically lip syncing to Boris Johnson is a fucking cunt. It was glorious.
I got to see that one.
It was fun.
I need
But
to
yeah,
see this.
mostly I've just been making, TikToks because it doesn't require the amount of energy it does to do like a YouTube stream or especially a produced video on YouTube. And I just do not have the energy for that stuff right now.
I do wish you'd set up the camera and you don't have to say anything, but just let us watch you sew.
Yeah.
Well, I try to let you guys I'll like pop on streams and stuff while I'm sewing.
Those were good streams, what you're showing off your latest projects.
Yeah, I have a lot to work on. Like, I've got a lot of projects to do, and I was planning on getting sewing done this week, but I have fucking the flu. Hopefully next year they choose better with which strain of fucking virus they predict will be the predominant flu that year, and my flu shot will actually do me some damn good, because this year it did not.
Well, I think they were so focused on the COVID vaccines that they didn't have enough people to put the effort into it this year.
It's always a crapshoot.
Okay, so Porpoise.
I am the Sinister Porpoise. When you think of Sinister Porpoises, think of the Sinister Porpoise. Right now, I'm not really doing much of anything on YouTube, although you can find some old scratch tutorials on my channel at youtube.com/the Sinister Porpoise 1. I do have one question going back to something said a few minutes ago. When you said you were doing a stream where the topic was drugs and you used the phrase on drugs, did you mean it was about drugs or that you were on drugs, or is it possible that you meant both at the same time?
Well, I actually meant one about drugs, but if we could do both at the same time, that could be interesting.
It's a requirement. You're going to have to skin up on camera onto that stream, I think.
I'm on 15 different drugs right now.
I was about to say I'm on some heavy prescription drugs.
You know, I've actually lost count of how many bottles I've got on my table here.
Yeah, not the ones you're prescribed from your doctor, like your HRT, or my levothyroxine for my thyroid. But
I'm on a lung steroid that would knock the average person down.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I have to do an injection.
Butrans,
3 o'clock yesterday.
gabapentin, oxycodone, tizanidine. Those are my...
If you do a drug stream, you're going to have to schedule it to start at 4:20 in the afternoon.
Well, it's
in California's time zone.
We always say it's 4:20 somewhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't get anything that would really have any fun effects on me. So,
if you lived here, there's all kinds of fun stuff that you could try to knock you out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will be hopefully on with the shills on their pub chat Friday night at 5 and Saturday at 6. That's Central Time. Of course, I'll be back here next week, Wednesday at noon and Thursday at 10 p.m. again. I don't really have anything planned for like New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, so I'll just be surfing around other people's chats. But I promise I will be doing something in the new year. I have no idea what, but I do promise that sometime in the course of 2022, I will put something out.
Move.
I have dropped back from my original goal of 1 edited video a month to 1 edited video a year. And I know I didn't make it this year, but I'll work on it for next year.
Well, you still got 24 hours.
I know. I got to get off my duff and finish my video.
And with that, I would like to thank all of my Patreon supporters, Utah Outcast, Vonrick, Jyuni, who also does all the artwork for my channel. I have to find some way to pay her for something. Ox and Robert X, who I appreciate you being there also on Jury tonight for moderating the side chat and blocking the bots for me. And the Lavender Lady here, and Greg Hartwick and Dog. So I do appreciate everybody who, helps me keep things running here. And with that, we will bid you all a good night.
May I offer one closing salutation?
Yes.
Remember, everybody, Joe Rogan can give himself a blowjob, and he recommends ivermectin. Think about it.
And sana korita dalana. You're welcome.
Rock out with your clock out. Sonny sana cochinada. Yeah, I can't even say it right now.
Sana
cochinada.
Sana colita de rana.
Be excellent to each other, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.
And Stool dropped out, so he can't give that final word he always gives just as we go off. Oh, Microraptor, you arrived just in time for us to be signing out here.
Hi, Micro.
Hey, Microraptor.
Okay, well, good night, everybody. And here's the button. Bye-bye.
Love you, chat.